All right, so you're on in three, two, one.
Okay. How's everyone doing? It is Thursday, right? I have to remind myself what day of the week I'm on almost constantly. So what's this? Dead punk. If the hosts don't show up for 15 minutes, we are legally allowed to leave. Wait, are we holding you hostage? Is that what you're saying? We're holding you hostage? That's not how that works. Guys, come on. We're better than this. We don't hold you hostage. That's what MAGA does. Come on now. You guys can do it. It's the conservative party that holds you hostage, specifically with things like money, accessibility. They keep you away from being able to access things. Like all of those things. That's what they do. But not us. Come on now. We're just here for the love of the game at this point. The love of the game. That sounds accurate. Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate to me. All right. But did anybody watch Donald Trump's speech yesterday? I didn't. I'll admit that. But it was 48 minutes, from what I understand, of the exact same crap. Just pulling out the same routine. Wait, hold on. Valhalla. Any situation with Jimmy is always a hostage situation. That's kind of funny. Oh no, dead punk. I was using your teasing to tease back because that's what you do. I'm also a little bit sick, so I'm just doing this. But yeah, no, I will watch clips of his speeches because they just say stupid shit. Like apparently, what was it that I came across that Stephen Miller said something stupid? Hold on. Someone was telling me. What is it? Man, when I just keep falling it. Never meet your heroes? Oh my gosh. That's a comment to read. Like, I know you guys are good. Oh, that's what it is. So, Stephen Miller and his lack of understanding on what SCOTUS rules specifically about birthright citizenship covered under the 14th Amendment and 8 U.S. Code 1401. Just so you guys know, like, Trump is signing an executive order to ban birth tourism. And Stephen Miller believes that the Supreme Court is sanctioning the change of definitions because they said Congress could do it. But that's Stephen. So it is now confirmed Stephen Miller doesn't know the difference between Congress and the presidency. Which I mean, I guess they never did before, so none of this should be a surprise. I don't know how you would prove birth tourism. It's just like, do you just not allow any woman who is pregnant over here because that could just happen? Semi on accident, right? It could just happen. You don't, a lot of women don't plan when they're giving birth. We'll put it that way, as most of you should know. But also, as everyone should know, MAGA doesn't actually care about things. Oh, Fori, thank you. I enjoy collabing with Lux. We're just waiting for them to arrive because, well, they had to do Takis. They were doing Takis. We're just waiting for them to show up. Also, this is semi like a y'all gotta keep Jimmy accountable. Is I sent him a significant list of right wing creators on TikTok for him to reach out to try to get on for the 2v2 debates. So hopefully, if any one of them grow a spine to get off get out of their safe spaces. We should be having some more of those. I hope. We'll put that out there like that. Pregnant lady goes into labor. They play hot potato with her until she's out of borders. That's kind of funny. Okay. That is kind of funny. Yeah. W Takis. W Takis. Jesus, that's a funny. Maybe Trump plans on gluing pregnant women closed until they leave. Thank you, Jimmy, for the poll, actually. Yeah. Conservatives don't have any solutions, to be clear. They don't have solutions for AI. They don't have solutions for what to do if anyone loses their job. Oh, well, sorry, Luthien. I just see it come through from the channel. So never mind. Luthien is the awesome person who put up the poll. So thank you, Luthien. Don't be mad at me. It's okay. Thank you, Integrity. So that's cool. No, don't say thank you, Jimmy. Well, today Luthien is cosplaying as Jimmy, I guess. You could be mad at me. It's okay. It gets a little off screen, but thank you, Peter. No, that was me trying to give credit. It's okay. I can be a little bit. Y'all can shush me for that one. It's totally fine. Hello. Well, right now you're just a ghost voice.
A disembodied voice. Woo!
Yeah, you're a disembodied voice. It's okay though. We're
Now I'm
fixing
here.
it. Woohoo!
Hello.
It's all fixed.
Yeah, we're all fixed, and I'm apparently in the main host spot. So, hi everybody. It's a
Yeah,
call-in
that's you.
show. What have we been talking about so far today? Like, nah, it's only been a few minutes. We've been vamping. Is anything exciting happening?
I've been talking about the idiocy of Trump's presidency. So, you know,
Mm,
and then also calling out all conservatives to tell them that they don't have solutions for anything.
that's true. Allegedly, Mitch McConnell is alive. Do you believe them?
Honestly,
Like they released a statement today.
okay, so in all honesty, I don't not believe them. I
Okay.
think that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't believe you, but I also don't not believe you. I'm having an existential crisis with that.
I think that's
Just
fair. You know,
yeah.
to be like, it's Schrodinger's, like, it could really be anything, I think is what it comes down to. It could really be anything from these people.
Oh yeah, it's like it could come up, it can go away, he could be alive, he could be dead. I don't and everyone's right to question it. And I think you guys all have that like the thing is he's going to show back up in Congress. I have faith in that. I don't know why.
You think
I
he's
just
going to
feel
get
like
all the way back?
yeah, I think he will. It might not be until September, but I think he will. I think he'll manage to show back up.
Okay. I mean, I wait with bated breath. You know, we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
We'll see. It'll be a thing.
Well, we're here to talk to MAGA. Oh, by the way, if you're here and you have not yet hit the like button, it's quick, it's easy, it's free, and it immediately boosts us in the algorithm, and we usually get more calls right afterwards. So, you know, give our screener something to do by calling us and getting your arguments in. What are some topics we've got today? We can talk about how, MAGA scared of everything. What do I got on my lower third here? I've got some
Conservatives have
rotation.
no solutions.
Conservatives, you don't have any solutions to any
Nope.
problems. You're just making
Zero.
problems all the time. You know, it's funny because I live in Oregon and the state has been run by Democrats for a long time, and people complain a lot about some inefficiencies in the distribution of the budget. And I agree that that is a thing. That's a problem, right? Like sometimes Democrats are inefficient or can be, like anybody in a government can be inefficient at carrying out their tasks. But like assuming that a Republican government is good at carrying out its tasks, bad things happen. Like when they get what they're trying to get, then bad things happen to people.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't want an efficient or inefficient Republican government because they do things that hurt people openly and all the time. It feels like.
Yeah, and I mean they hurt people there. That's what I was saying. Like they have no solutions. I thought I added a couple of other things to it, but it looks like it's just those two.
Yeah.
Luthien, if we could add, there was what had I thought about? Oh yeah. I think I said conservatives vote out of fear instead
Hmm?
of just doing scared of everything because they do, or they vote for harm. That's what it is. Conservatives vote
Mm,
for harm.
they do. That's true. Also, I'm
Yeah, that's
trans,
what it
so
was.
we will talk to like Republicans and conservatives. I know y'all got a lot of
Yeah.
opinions about trans people. So, if you want to tell me about how like I'm not really whatever gender you guess I am right now, because I'm really curious actually. I need two pairs of glasses because I need these are more like femme and I need like mask glasses for the two modes. So the struggle
Which
is
one
real.
am I? Meow.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell, I get called trans half the time anyway. So, guys, it's the big boogeyman on the screen. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, like a woman and a transgender. What are you gonna do? Your head's gonna explode. It is funny how like, yeah, just being an assertive woman means that you get called trans. Like this has happened politically forever,
Yep.
right? Like Hillary Clinton, she's really a secret man. Michelle Obama is really secretly a man. Or lesbian. Sometimes they get accused of being
Still
lesbians.
hearing that.
But
Still hearing that every day. His name is Michael. I'm like, what the fuck? They said that at that stupid UFC fight in front of the White House.
oh
Some
really?
Yeah, some dude was like, and Michelle is a man. Like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, I did hear
okay.
about that. Yeah, it was like, and
Yeah.
they're not even politically relevant, right? Like Barack
No.
Obama, I think they just opened a library or something, which is cool. But other than that, they're kind of not relevant. They just like why are we talking about Obama? Also, why are we talking about Biden still? That's a frustrating thing. And I don't know if these are real people I'm talking to on Facebook or if they're bots in some of my local community groups, but like they keep I when we're trying to criticize Trump because he's the president now and I'm like, oh,
Yep.
look at Trump falling asleep in front of television, like cameras and like, at these apparently important meetings and press conferences. And they're like, well, Biden fell asleep. And I'm like, yeah, he's not the president anymore. I also didn't like that he fell asleep, like to be clear, but I am talking about right now. Why are you living 4 years ago? It's so strange.
Oh, see, I always tell people, which actually 4 years ago is apt, is I tell them that they all lived and died in 2022.
Yeah,
They did.
that's
They
fair.
like they don't get over the inflation rate at that time. They don't get over the price of gas at that time.
Yeah.
Are stuck in it. They're stuck in their ways. They never learned from it apparently. Anything after 2022 just never happened.
It's quite strange.
Yeah. I did see that fuzzy logic mostly because of Jovan.
I'm not. Oh wait. Oh, the super chat. Yeah, Mama
Yeah.
Mephi having some bullshit going on with her YouTube channel. And
Yep.
she's been a guest before. Mama Mephistopheles, if y'all haven't seen, she's been a guest with us on Takis a couple of times, and her channel just got mass reported and nuked for nudity, which that she doesn't post nude videos on YouTube. Like to be clear, that's not what she does. But she's got a video on Instagram if y'all want to learn more about it.
Yeah. It also just happened to be, which we know we're not blaming Jovan, so no hate should come this way, please. But it happened right after she was on his stream. So
Mm. It's the tricky thing when you're a minority creator that people
mm-hmm.
will just like pursue you aggressively, right? Like it's one of the reasons why I would never do something like Jubilee, for example. Obviously, Jubilee fucking sucks, but also it exposes you to neo Nazis who are gonna become. It's like I'm not trying to do
Yep.
Fisher Price, my first stalker, right now. Like I'm not trying to get in that situation. So, um, yeah, it is limiting in that way, like where you're willing to speak and having to be cautious of your audience and how you speak to that audience. Like Jimmy was just saying, like we're going to be testing out streaming to other platforms like X, for
Yep.
example, that has white supremacists on it. And, that could potentially expose us to an audience of people that have better calls but who could also, again, become like, hey, I've decided to become a stalker or try to dox everybody on the line or like make threats, and then we have to report shit to the FBI, and it's a whole fucking thing. But yeah, those are the kind of things you have to consider and think about to be safe online.
Yep, and like I'm happy that he's gonna start streaming out to TikTok. I already do that
Sure, yeah.
while I'm on the show with you guys anyways. But I was letting everyone know at the beginning of the stream too, is that I sent Jimmy a good list of MAGA creators on TikTok for his 2v2 streams.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great. I want him to message them. Be like, I have a YouTube channel with 367,000 followers, and we can come to a slightly moderated but timed debate. And I want them to say no so I can put them all on blast.
Like, look, y'all are always talking a big game about how you would debate if you just only had an opportunity. We gave you an opportunity and you chickened out. Come on.
I want to make them a video.
That's funny.
Paw, stop spamming in my comment section. You can call the number on the screen.
336-543-2101. Do we have anybody waiting?
There is 2. And hey, Oscar.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Do we want to get started on this?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
That's a funny one.
All
I'm
right.
already laughing.
We are going to talk to Dan, he, him pronouns, who's a theist from Colorado. And Dan, you are live. Hold on. Is it not? It's not working? Answer. Whoops. Failing. Okay. That's weird. Let me refresh my page and see what's going on with that. Oh, it's definitely being weird. Oh, there we go. Okay, now let's try that again. We're going to try talking to Dan, he, him pronouns, who's a theist from Colorado. Dan.
There we go.
There we go. You're live on Calling It Now with Luxander and Ari. How's it going, Dan?
Right on. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay, your topics, what I have here just says MAGA Christians are better than leftists. Tell me more about it.
Oh, no, I said leftists are also better than MAGA Christians and capitalists, is what I told the lady as well.
Oh, okay. I think it may have come across backwards, but give me a couple sentences about it. We'll make sure we get to.
I think she wanted me to say the other way around, but I said first, leftists are better than MAGA Christians and capitalists, and then I also said MAGA Christians, capitalists think they're better than leftists. But she didn't want to put that out there.
I see. I think maybe it might have just been that she missed that critical word, but we are.
Let's just say it's both. Let's just say it's both ways. It goes both ways.
Sure. Either way, I don't think that's really a debate, and we are only taking debate calls today, Dan. So I do appreciate you calling in, but we are going to scooch to the next one.
So you know how leftists think they're. There's also a rightist, right? Like people on the right.
Sure. Yeah, we don't usually use that term. I've heard of it before, but yeah, what is the?
And one of them was Charlie Kirk was a rightist, right?
I guess.
And
so.
a lot of people didn't not like what he would say, so there was a lot of disagreement. I mean, there's always going to be disagreement, but we always have to respect.
So here's the thing: I just hung up because I'm not just going to politely sit here and listen to somebody who apparently didn't catch that I was in the middle of trying to end the call 30 seconds ago.
Right?
Like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm not just going to like sit there politely and wait for you to finish with your what's not a debate call, which we appreciate you guys. This is not a podcast for you to just call in and shoot the shit with us about something we're obviously going to agree. Like, we're obviously going to agree. Yes, MAGA Christians have a superiority complex. Like, duh. But we are taking debate calls. If you're a conservative, if you're MAGA, and you want to talk to us, we're taking calls 336-543-2101. For what are we doing? 3 hours? Is the podcast later? The podcast. Oh my God. If you guys didn't know, The Line has a podcast and it's called The Line Has a Podcast. So it should be very easy for you to find on YouTube and all of the platforms. And we're kind of revamping it. Maybe not tonight, might be tomorrow. Our producer's going to check the schedule for us, but yeah, we're doing all kinds of cool stuff. And along with that, the podcast is like, they don't take calls, they just talk about the news. And we've also got this new app that you guys can get access to through our Patreon. It's for those of us who are like super fans of the line to kind of curate and contribute to what gets talked about on the podcast. So if you are already one of our $10 plus members, you already have access to this. And if you do want to become a $10 member on Patreon, we have this app basically that it catalogs the news, and then our viewers can vote on what they want to be covered on the podcast. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, so there's lots of incentives. We're adding new stuff all the time on the pod or on the Patreon. So check that out. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we have a theist who wants to talk about religion. Do you talk about religion very much? Is it going to be
Yes and no. I'm still learning more on it. We
Okay.
actually, the producer and I had that discussion before you joined. We're like, wait, does Lux debate religion? We couldn't remember
I
for a moment.
sure do.
Okay. Literally, like,
Yeah.
sorry, we couldn't remember for a moment. So no, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't I did that almost like more than I did queer activism when I was younger, like atheist activism. So I got bored with it at a certain point. But yeah, that's where I cut my teeth as far as being like an activist. So anyway, yeah, we are going to talk to Jacob, he, him pronouns, who's a theist out of California who wants to talk about Christianity being true. Jacob, you are live on Calling It Now with Luxander and Ari. What's up? Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Could you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
All clear.
Okay. So first off, if you guys were more wanting to talk to like MAGA Republican, especially like ultra conservative Christianity, I do want to say that I'm not even a conservative. I'm more independent. So if that feels like a waste, I'd rather admit that now. But I do believe in God.
I have issues with liberal Christians, so that's fine. Wherever you are on the spectrum,
cool.
we can proceed.
Okay, cool. So I actually called, and just a little background, I called the Transatlantic show about a month ago, debating you and Josie.
Okay.
And then I called back last week and admitted that you guys changed my mind, actually.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So I do want to say I'm open to being proven wrong. I'm not here to just like one up you guys or anything. Sure, it's a debate and we're going back and forth, but I honestly am open to changing my mind, and I've changed my mind on the topic before in the past. But
Sure.
There's been things that I've experienced and thought that make it seem to me that God is real. So
Cool. Yeah. I mean, feel free to get into it wherever you think is a good starting point for basically like, we're going to establish like a discussion about Christianity and whether the Christian God specifically is real, or if Christianity is true, something along those lines.
yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Go
I
for
would
it.
say more than Christianity specifically, could we more just say, does God exist, is be better for me, because I wouldn't even say like, yeah, okay. So can I ask you a question before I start, just to help me understand, because this is a good question I like to ask before I get into discussions, because I feel like it saves a lot of time. And that is, what would need to happen? What evidence would you need to see to believe God is real?
Sure. Ari, you look like you're thinking on that. Do you have a response, or do you want to wait?
Honestly, like that one's honestly hard. Because almost anything that's a miracle can be explained through science or just what's actually occurring. So I think to a degree, probably without him just appearing, then I don't think I would believe it. Exactly. Like my friend Oscar just said, bro could just say hi. No, you're good. I was like, my friend Oscar was just saying, bro could just say hi. And I kind of agree with that one. That's kind of where it's going.
Yeah.
So like, if God literally like came in front of you and was like, hey, I'm God, you would say you'd believe in it? You wouldn't think you're having like a mental breakdown or like a psychiatric episode or anything like that?
I mean, I'm assuming God is going to show up like glowy and tall and big. So sure.
Mm-hmm. So you would believe it?
for me, and I'll just say for my piece, I think, unfortunately, like as frustrating as it might be for the creator of the universe, he created my brain, so he should know that what would be required is like some kind of repeatable, testable, physics-defying action, like something that is completely impossible given what we have come to understand about the laws of physics, and like natural law and gravity and everything. So like, and it would need to be something that could be repeatable. So the entity, I would say like, hey, can you do this like 5 times in like 5 different locations so that we can measure everything that's happening and like the manner in which you have broken physics as we understand it? Because I think that that is like the only way to convince me that a being is like operating at a level that is like I can control the universe. I mean, because dude, like Jacob, it's like we haven't even defined God yet. Like are we talking about like a guy, or are we talking about like a thing that like
just like a creator of the universe?
Yeah. Okay, so like a creator of the universe, that's kind of like there's a couple different ways to take that. The like deist approach is kind of like God kicked things into motion, but he doesn't interfere and he doesn't care about what you do, and he doesn't listen to your prayers or whatever.
Yeah, I would more just be saying like we don't need to get like we could just be super basic, and that's just a creator that does show the evidence of himself, I guess, because like I don't even get the point of arguing for a deist God. It's kind of just pointless.
Sure.
But I guess my question would, so just like making sure I'm understanding, pretty much God would like have to actively like over and over again break the laws of physics in front of you, and then also prove that he's the one breaking the laws of physics. Or he isn't the correct word. God would have to prove that it's God breaking the laws of physics and not just a unexplained phenomenon.
Yeah.
Would you say like, that's an accurate statement? Okay.
Yeah, because I think I could be tricked by something, and I happen to know enough about trickery to be aware of it. And it's a big claim. Like if God is real, that is a huge claim. So I feel like it shouldn't be a big deal to like demonstrate that it's actually happening. Like it should be possible to demonstrate that it's actually happening if it is actually happening. It feels like, and if it isn't possible to prove that there is a God and it's doing anything, then what point would there be in even thinking about it? Like if it doesn't impact the universe, or if there's no moral judgment, or if there's no afterlife, or if there's no meddling in events, then what would, at a certain point, if it's not measurable, then we don't need to consider it as a variable in our actions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Pretty much you're saying it's like, even if it is true, if you can't really measurably prove it, it's not really a reasonable thing to believe in the first place. Like, say God is real, you're saying it's not really necessary to believe in it, even if he is real. If it can't really be proven time and time again, it's not really necessary enough of a belief. Is that me understanding correctly, or?
Yeah, I think you've pretty much got it. Yeah, like it's just not necessary to spend the energy to think about if it doesn't seem to be impacting anyone's life in any meaningful way. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Well,
it just has to be something that's like verifiable, right? Because we already know that there's no evidence that the earth flooded for Noah. Like there's no sedentary evidence left anywhere around the world that it flooded. And if it did, it wasn't for the period of time that is stated within that chapter of the Bible. It was for at most a couple of days. So,
well, to be clear, I'm not arguing for young Earth creation, if that makes you feel better. But
yeah,
so I would agree with you on that. But I guess my question would be, is that the only way you're able to really reasonably believe something, is if you can testably prove it over and over again, or do you kind of still have to believe things without testably proving things over and over again like that?
That's what science is about. Especially in the way you guys are saying yeah, but I wouldn't say that God's in a category that science could prove or disprove him. Like I talked to he's been on the line before. I forget his name. He used to be like a Christian rapper. Oh, I forget his name. I talked to him recently on his YouTube channel, and he told me that it could literally be written in the stars and it say Jesus is God. And he
still would not be convinced that Jesus is God because he could be getting deceived. He could be it could be a demon proving to him that it's not. And then like I've heard Matt Dillahunty over and over again say, if God appeared to him, he'd go to a psychiatrist. So it's like, to me, it sometimes, and the reason I bring this up is not to like, is because when I was an atheist, I used to like to debate with Christians, and my whole family is Christian. And when I mean Christian, I don't mean seriously Christian, like they don't really go to church or anything like that, but they like will say it. And I pretty much realized like that myself was like, my brother kind of pushed me on it. He's like, so if God literally came to you and said, I'm God, and proved himself to you, you'd still not believe it? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to know for sure. It can't be scientifically verified over and over again. I'm like, wait, is that really reasonable? Like, how could he prove himself any more than literally appearing in front of me and proving it? Like, well, I guess my question is the way you guys need it to be proven really fair to be the only possible way to prove it?
Well, so here's the thing, Jacob. I am not saying that it has anything to do with my eyeballs or like really even me personally seeing it. I think it needs to be repeatable under laboratory conditions. Like, because if I'm going to accept a truth about the universe, one that matters a lot, one that, we need to start factoring that into our physics equations or whatever, or especially if there's a moral judgment or if there's hell involved or whatever, then like that's an important fact. And I want to get that fact right. Like being on top of it and getting things correct scientifically is important to me as a value. I have to ask myself a question of what's more likely in a given situation. If something appears to violate the laws of physics, is it more likely that the fundamental way that the universe is pieced together has just broken, whether that's through some accident or because of a God changing it? Or is it more likely that my squishy little human brain that runs on electricity maybe misfired a little bit? And like it's just more likely that my brain misfired versus a fundamental aspect of the universe changing. Like, so that's what we're talking about, like a burden of proof. The burden of proof that I glitched is kind of pretty low. Like we glitch all the time. Literally everything that I am perceiving and that you are perceiving in this moment is a hallucination. Your brain is picking up sensory information and translating it into an image in your brain. So it's kind of normal to hallucinate a lot. But yeah, I feel like Ari is trying to get in on here.
Oh,
no, okay. I mean, I kind of agree with that part. It's like it feels like I'm glitching out all the time.
Yeah, go ahead and respond, Jacob.
Sure. I guess like my question is though, if that's the case, how do you trust that the scientific method is a proper way when you still have to observe the scientific method to trust it and
because
trust that your senses are telling you it reliably?
We use tools to measure things, and we can calibrate the tools, and then we can trust the tools, and we don't have to rely on our fleshy, meaty brains and touchy, feely parts.
Right.
Don't we still use our brains to receive the data in the first place?
Yeah,
I mean, you might as well. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I think maybe there's some inherent misunderstanding, but the purpose of the scientific method is like when you have an hypothesis, the entire reason you're going through these steps is to prove your hypothesis wrong, not to prove it correct. Scientists at their core are skeptics.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand that. I understand that very well. I'm just saying, I'm just confused why that needs to be the only way to think. Because, like, I think what Lux said a second ago is very true. Is ultimately what we're doing is trying to find out what's most likely. You don't know what is true 100%. Like, I can't 100% prove I'm sitting on a chair right now. Like, I'm 99%
I feel like
sure,
no,
but
that's not. I want to be completely
simulation.
clear that is not what I was saying. We can demonstrate facts.
Okay.
To be completely 100% clear, we can demonstrate facts. And I'm sorry if I misspoke on that. So when we are beginning with a proposition of how to investigate this or what we should investigate, right? If I have an experience where it appears that God has appeared before me and broken the laws of physics, in that situation, I can go down two different investigatory paths. I could investigate the claim of the guy being there. I could be like, hey, let me touch your arm. Like, are you there? Did that physics thing really happen? Can I reach over? Can I physically, measure it? Can we go over to a lab and can you do that in front of a camera? Or I could investigate the line of inquiry of, I think that maybe I need to go to a hospital. Maybe I just had a stroke, or like maybe I just had a psychotic break or something. So that's just an establishing of which pathway of inquiry I should go down. Then we test and we measure, and I subject myself to medical examination, or we subject the physics defying thing to measurement with tools that are more precise. And yes, at the end of the day, we are processing that information with our brains. But we're trying to get as close as we can to facts as possible. We're trying to gather as much data in support of the facts as possible before being willing to be like, yeah, we feel confident that that's true. There's a lot of times in science where we say, we're pretty confident that that could be the case, but maybe we don't have 100% certainty, but we do have 100% for a lot of stuff. Like, I know that you're sitting on a chair. That's not a question,
Well, like, I that's like a rabbit hole I don't really want to go down. It's not really necessary. But like, I guess my question is, after what you just said, is how would you scientifically disprove God exists? Or a better question would be, how would you, with the scientific method, prove God exists? Like, he would need to come to you at, like, over and over again, and then like predict something to you over and over again, and it wouldn't have to be just you, it'd have to be everybody. And it would have to be the same test over and over.
Laboratory.
Like, just run me a laboratory.
I'm not a scientist.
You need a laboratory,
and I don't write tests. But like like there are people who will like study physics and know what should happen under certain conditions. I'm going to be an engineer, which is like similar. I do have to take physics, but I'm not going to be like a physicist. So I would, it would have to be tests designed by people who are experts, and they would have to be something God is capable of doing, right? Can God do anything, or does God have a certain parameters under which he can change things? Can we do full transmutation? Can he straight up turn an apple into an orange, right? So we would need to devise some tests, and that would mostly not be handled by me. I will be happy to read about the studies afterwards, but I would not claim to be an expert.
What studies could even, what, how would they even do that? I'm just confused. How would they? I understand what you're saying, the type of test they're doing, but how would you do that categorically with something like God? It's not registering.
Maybe God has some ideas.
How would one even start that? So he would like have to come and say, "This is the test I want you guys to like do to prove I'm real," and then
I just said ideas.
Break the laws of physics
because we're dependent on what he do. So we have to do that. Has to be in a dialogue, and also you created my brain, so you should know what would be convincing to me.
No, I think you're
if I'm talking to the God guy,
I understand what you're saying. No, I understand what you're saying, but if the only thing that you're saying could convince you is something that could still ultimately, like you guys even said this at the beginning, because it's still usually always have some way you could still explain it naturally, like it literally saying Jesus is God.
Jacob, maybe there's a misunderstanding here, Jacob. This would be our means of establishing that God is natural. This is necessarily bringing God into the natural and showing how he interacts with the natural. Like this is trying to demonstrate that he can interact with the natural, basically. So it is kind of bringing him out of this space of like nebulous, maybe he's there, maybe he does stuff, maybe he doesn't, into a place of like, okay, you have now demonstrated that you can create things, right? Like if you created the universe, okay, why don't you create a piece of gold right now? Like, or whatever, I'm just saying like,
so
we could even get into specific types of testing of like, if you created everything, then you should be able to demonstrate that you can create things. And also it should be no big deal for you to demonstrate that really quick, like 20 times in a row. Just do it 20 times in a row real quick. It'll take 20 minutes. It's not a big deal. And we'll just have this all wrapped up and go to lunch.
Gotcha. So you're pretty much saying like, this is like, and you can correct me if any point is wrong with your guys' take on this. Pretty much it's that if God is real, he could really easily prove it because, he's a creator of everything. He could easily pop in and just make stuff appear out of thin air, break the laws of physics. So ultimately it's like, why would we have any reason to prove it when he could just prove it so easily to everybody?
Yes. And if it is so easy for him to prove, why would he make the choice not to? Is a critical element as well. You know, like if he can prove it and we don't need to be having this argument, then what would be the purpose in concealing that information? And like, you know, that goes into a whole other question morally that atheists get into all the time of like, if God is capable of intervening and he doesn't, boy, wow, what does that say about God? Because if I could snap my fingers right now and make it to where no child is going without food and no child dies of diabetes, I would just do that. And so even if the God were real, I would not be willing to worship. Because so that's another element on top of this. If the God were real, would I be willing to worship? You know, like acknowledgement is different from worship. I would not be like, yo, that's my guy. I would be like, you need to be taken to the Hague and we need to have Nuremberg trials for all of the children that you let die. That's a problem and you need to be held morally accountable. So that's a whole other issue though.
So you would say that if God is real, he's morally obligated to not let anyone suffer as well?
Yeah, if you're all powerful and you're aware, or you're good, you know, you have to be good in order to be motivated to do that. That's the thing.
You guys honestly don't think like you're suffering, and as especially you, like Lux, you told me like when we've talked in the past, like the difficulty of coming out as a trans woman and whatnot. That hasn't. I'm sure there's a lot of awfulness with that, but you don't think there's also a lot that has benefited you and made you a stronger person in a lot of ways, the suffering that you've had in your life?
I am still working through trauma from being abused as a child. So no, I do not subscribe to the view that like trauma makes you a better person or like that strife makes.
Well, I didn't say trauma. I said suffering.
Suffering, strife. Yeah. I do not subscribe to the belief that that's necessary for character growth. I think it mostly is just a setback, and a pretty profound setback. And
Really?
again, like if you could design a universe in such a way where people don't need to suffer in order to blossom into their fullest extent, like again, it's like, why would you design the universe in a way that suffering is necessary? When we measure suffering, it seems like it's bad for people. It seems like it shortens people's lifespans because stress shortens your lifespan, among many other harms.
I understand where you guys are, what you're saying, and the points you're making make sense to me. I think there's some things like fundamentally both of us disagree on that neither could be like proven factually for it to like to go anywhere like too much further than this, but I really appreciate your guys' pushback and points you made.
Yeah, so for sure, Jacob.
Yeah, I'll think about it. All right. Well, I'll let you guys get to your other calls and whatnot. I don't want to take too much time.
Hell yeah, dude.
Right,
yeah, call back when you've marinated on it some. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cool.
Yes.
Actually love that. Yeah, go for it.
That was nice. Jay, call the number on the screen instead of staying in my comments. I know you have the capacity to call because you've done it before. So go ahead and call the number, Jay. If you want to say that President Trump is great on immigration, call the number then.
Yep. 336-543-2101. We're going to be here for another couple of hours taking calls. The podcast is not tonight, so I guess we're under no obligation to run the full 3 hours, but it's tomorrow.
And try and fail, you're also welcome to call the number on the screen. It seems that you're afraid of transgender people for whatever reason that is, because that was the first thing that you came in to talk about when we were speaking about God. You chose to bring up transgender people. That's a little bit odd. Wouldn't you agree, Lux? Like we're talking about God and the first thing that you think to mention is transgender people. It's a little like it's like you're incapable of staying on topic or keeping with the program. Like we're not even talking about that. Can you?
It kind of reminds me when someone was like, there was a Tumblr post of someone being like, homophobia is bad, or like homophobes do this bad thing. And then someone was like, you guys are always attacking Christians on this website. And the person was like, hey, if you could read, you would see that I didn't say Christians. I said homophobes. You are self-telling. You're telling on yourself. Like Christians just are like, you say homophobia and I think you're criticizing Christianity.
It's also like they also say something, and obviously, Lux, I don't know about you, but they come in here and they're like, you have no job. It's like, okay, I don't know what time zone you're in, right? But for half the country, not including Hawaii or Alaska, right? But half of the continental US, it is past 5 o'clock. Unless you're telling me that you're actively still at work and you're typing in my comment section, which is telling me that you're stealing from your job's time by being in my comment section.
Yeah.
Assuming you have a job, right? I don't know if you realize this, Try, but this is actually a job.
Yeah, it's fucking hard.
Like we are legitimately employed. I know that that's very difficult for you, but it's okay, Pookie.
Yeah.
It's okay, Pookie. We'll get to you, but you got to call the number.
It's true. I make pretty sick money considering how many hours I work, actually. It's like not bad.
Right?
For the line anyway. My own stuff is not nearly as good. But yeah, listen, we've got time. We've got people. There is somebody waiting, and we'll get to you in a second. But 336-543-2101, we want to fill those lines. And if you are a contentious caller, that is what we're here for. I was about to say contentious callers get priority, but we don't even take non-contentious calls on here for the most part. So, yep, we're going to be here for a little while longer, and we're here to chat.
Bye, Try. Bye, Jay. Oh, no, they're getting muted. One of my mods is taking away your First Amendment rights here because I'm not the government. So bye. Have a great day. Call the number if you want your voice back.
That's really funny. Okay, cool. All right, cool. We're going to talk to somebody from the UK. We're talking to Nat, who didn't want to give pronouns, from the UK, who's 30 years old and wants to talk about trans people. Nat, you are live on Calling It Now with Luxander and Ari. How's it going?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you guys?
Living the dream. Well, tell us about your topic. What did you want to talk about?
I'm just genuinely calling in not to be ignorant or anything like that, just to have an understanding, because I don't have that many trans friends or anything to actually be able to have a conversation about trans rights or anything like that. So do excuse me if it comes across like, oh, she's being a bit rude. I genuinely don't understand what I'm about to ask.
Sure.
So in terms of, I know like laws and stuff are different within the UK where I am from and the US, but what right is it that you guys, that trans people in the US may not have compared to like a heterosexual person or a gay person or so forth?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things right now is the right to have an ID that matches your appearance and is actually a good functional identification document. So in states like Kansas, where I'm from, they recently just basically overnight invalidated the driver's license of every transgender person who had changed their gender marker.
Yep.
And it was legal for them to change their gender marker prior to that. So it's this situation where they should have been grandfathered in. Like in the United States, when they made gay marriage legal in California, and then they made it illegal again for a brief period of time. The ones that were conducted during that period of where it was legal, they didn't annul those marriages during when Proposition 8 passed and it became illegal again. It was grandfathered in. So trans people went through a legal process of changing their gender marker and then overnight do not have a driver's license anymore. And we're seeing some conversation that cases of like a trans person being found with an ID that doesn't match their appearance may be referred to ICE. So they may be preparing to mobilize the anti-immigration apparatus against trans people. And I don't know if, Nat, you are familiar with everything violent that's going on with ICE in this country right now, but it's not great. And it wouldn't be good for trans people.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's awful what's going on. We only see it like on the news or anything that we don't have. Don't get me wrong, we have immigration like policies and people here, but it's not as on the scale as unfortunately what's going on in America right now.
Yep.
Also, I do have to say, you know, when I called in and somebody asked me for my pronouns and stuff, I totally, if somebody wants to call themselves he, she, they, them, anything, that's completely fine, up to them, no issue. I just personally don't do that kind of stuff, and I don't want to maybe offend anyone doing that, but I do feel like it's my right as well to be like, oh, I just don't want to do that. My name is Nat, that's it, kind of thing.
I'm curious if you correct people. Like, because I'm guessing, just based on your voice and your name, I'm guessing that people in your life would be like, oh, yeah, she just went through the door. And so I'm wondering if you correct people or if you just like, you basically just functionally are a she, her person and you just don't ever correct people about it.
I'm a woman, so I don't correct anyone doing that, but I just don't go up to like people and go, oh, hi, or introduce myself online as like she, her, or anything. I just say I'm Nat, that's it. I don't like the whole label of things. Not that any, like, if you want to be called she, her, or he, him, I will respect that and I go for that. Like, I'm not going to misgender someone or anything like that. But just me personally, my name is Nat, and that's it. It's kind of like falls into the category of like somebody who doesn't want to be called a girl or a boy, and they just want to be called them. They've got that. They don't want to be neither or neither. But me, myself, I'm just Nat. That's what I am. I'm a woman, but I don't go up to going, oh, hi, I'm thing.
Okay, Nat, if you were to find a wallet, just a plain black wallet on a table sitting by itself when you went into a coffee shop, you didn't know who left it there, you're turning it into the workers. How do you, what do you say as you're turning it into them?
I've found somebody's wallet, here you go, not my business, kind of thing. I've done it plenty of times here.
Gotcha. See, me personally, and like this is how I say, because I have done that before, is like, hey, somebody left their wallet on that table here. I don't know if you can find them. It's just weird anytime that someone says that they don't use pronouns or they don't engage with pronouns like that. Everyone else can do it, but it's not for me when it's just normal English language.
Okay, I completely understand that it's normal English language, and as you've explained yourself, that's how you do things. You may introduce yourself as she, her, or anything. Maybe 5-6 years ago, nobody was putting on their emails Nat last name she/her kind of thing.
Well,
I don't see.
So I want to jump in on this really quickly because I agree and understand, Nat.
I do want to say
most
that
people
I feel
don't
like you guys are forcing what you like.
Sure, and I want to explain. I want to explain why we ask for that. Because Nat, I can't see you, and there's 1,000 people watching right now. They don't know you,
right.
and if you're like one of those people who's like, I don't like any pronouns to be used when talking about me, because I've met trans people who are uncomfortable with all pronouns. That's fine, but it's like it's kind of disingenuous and like you're lying about not using pronouns because you do. You say you're a woman. And from your perspective, it's appropriate to use she, her pronouns. So when people use she, her pronouns, you don't correct them. But I don't know what you look like. And neither do any of these people. So I'm not asking you to enter a room full of people you've never met and say, I'm Nat and my pronouns are she, her. You have entered this space where everybody is just like viewing this online. And because we want them to be accurate, we ask for the pronouns, right? I am aware that most people don't introduce themselves with their pronouns. And that's like pretty typical at like right now. People mostly just still go based off of appearance. But again, I cannot see you. So I can't rely on that signal to guess your pronouns. You're comfortable in a world where people guess pronouns, and that's fine. This is just not a situation where we can easily do that, you know?
Oh no, I completely respect that, and I completely get that. So I do respect your explanation there, and I do understand that definitely. What was I saying?
And for emails too, like it's the same thing with email, where it's like, you know, we're just going off of your name, and some people have a name that you can't tell by, so you go with the pronouns, you know.
Right. Yeah, and of course, like Nat's could be short for Nathan or Natalie. So I completely understand that. I'm not saying that how dare you or anything like that. I don't mean that whatsoever. I'm just literally just, it's just how I personally choose to not say that.
I'm just saying, I don't expect you. I don't expect you to start introducing yourself with your pronouns after this conversation. Like, I'm not trying to advocate for that. So I hope you don't feel that I'm expecting you to now catch up with, the most wokest version of whatever. Like, if you want to go about your life and mostly not think about this, that's perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned.
Of course, I respect everybody for who they are and whatever they are and whatnot. What was I going to say? I'm so sorry. Hold on. What was you saying?
Just out of curiosity, did you speak with Jovan Bradley yesterday?
Who? Say that again, sorry?
Jovan Bradley. He wears cat ears on his headphones.
I've never met someone with cat ears on their headphones. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's very random. Maybe it's somebody else.
The last note that I see in your call notes says labels shouldn't be a thing. Does that kickstart where you were trying to head next with you had a thought that you forgot?
Oh, no. We were talking about the trans rights, no?
Yeah, no, you seemed like you were like, I meant to say something earlier and maybe I interrupted you. So I was trying to help you spin up and see if we could figure out what that thing was.
Oh, no, it was before I was interrupted. We were talking about trans rights and everything. I was just genuinely wanting to know in terms of the law side of things in the US over like the UK, because we have something similar here where it was just voted in, also similar to what you were saying about people not being able to identify as what they identify as, kind of thing, and it can't be on certain documentation. For example, I used to work at the airport around 10 years ago, and we were on high alert all the time because of, we're in the UK, we have so many things going on and whatnot. Somebody came up to me when I was working on the check-in desk, and they had crossed over where it said their gender, and because a passport is obviously an important document, it's a legal document that they needed to travel from the UK to, they were going to Bangladesh. I don't know why I remember that. I just remember this day so clearly. And they crossed over it, and I said to the person, I can't accept this documentation because even if my child scribbled over my passport, I can't accept that. If a passport is damaged, I can't accept it. And I was called transphobic. And I was like, I'm literally doing my job. If I let them through and they went to the gate and the gate people would say the exact same thing, like, this is an official document, you can't be let on and stuff. So I was called transphobic over the simplest thing of me saying, I can't let you through with this documentation kind of thing. And whilst I understand it's frustrating for the person, it's a very hard situation for trans people in the sense of not being able to identify it as what you feel you are on documentation and everything like that. I wonder in terms of, like, your drive. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead and finish your thought. I do have some thoughts, but I'll let you finish. Sorry.
It's okay. In terms of like the US, I wanted to know, do you guys have the same thing? I know you were saying something about the driver's license. Do you have the same thing when it comes to like passport documentation and security and sorry, not security, as in that's the element of the issue with people doing things to passports, but that's obviously physically if I got a pen and stuff. But if I wanted to change my gender on it, there should be no issue to that. And then obviously the picture needs to match the person as well. It can't be, for example, say like I transitioned into a woman, but my passport picture was still a male person. We cannot accept that as documentation. I still work in the airport field, but not through check-in because of legal documentations. Not saying that I agree with what you were saying about the driver's license and things. I don't agree with all of that going on. But I was just wondering in terms of like passport documentation, as in like to travel to different countries, because I know the US have a lot more going on in the UK with their unfortunate nonsense with immigration and wars going on and so forth.
Yeah. So basically, it's been a real runaround with the passport thing. They've been very inconsistent about it for the last year or two, and obviously the trouble with that is, like, let's say a woman like Hunter Schafer. She's a beautiful actress. She's very cis passing. Like, you would not know that she's transgender by looking at her. But she recently received a passport that says male on it, and she's an actress, so that means that she has to travel and do press in other countries. So now this, beautiful, stunning woman, potentially, like, she now is limited in her job. Like, she cannot go to another country that has transphobic laws, because she could be harmed. Like, she could be jailed or like physically harmed in some way. So yeah, that's one way in which this that's an example of a real person that really happened to this, this actress who got her passport yoinked around. So yeah, it is, and I could continue, like, driving through the state of Idaho. I hope if you're trans, you don't need to step off the side of the road and pee at a rest stop, because you could be arrested, and if it's your second offense, I think it's like a jail time felony. And that's also true of the state that I moved from. I moved from Kansas. They passed a bathroom ban after I moved. So, and not being able to access public restrooms, and even if the law hasn't passed, the discussion around that engenders, like, a lack of safety. Like, I've seen situations where a trans person uses the bathroom that they are supposed to, like, maybe even a law has passed that they're legally required to use that bathroom, and they get beaten and assaulted, and even one person died. A teenager died after, like, he was a trans boy who used the girls' bathroom, which is the one that conservatives think that he should be in. So yeah, it's I could go on. Like, I literally could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And I stopped talking about this on a regular basis because it was constant and depressing. But yeah, like, if I hadn't moved from Kansas, I would just not have a driver's license, literally overnight with no warning. And then what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get to my medical appointments? How am I supposed to get to work? How am I supposed to drop my kid off at school?
Right.
Like, how are you supposed to do anything? So it's very tangibly, it's not just esoteric, It's not just, oh, people aren't calling me what I want to, or I'm not allowed to change my document. It's like, I can't drive now.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Especially in America, you always need a car. Over here, we use public transport every 3 seconds, kind of thing. So
exactly.
I don't even know.
Yeah, for sure.
At my big age. In terms of, like, states and stuff, have more states overruled? For example, I was in Nevada last year visiting family, and unfortunately, I come from not unfortunately, I come from a Catholic background, but my cousins are quite strict with their faith, and even the conversation of LGBT and stuff just doesn't come up, and even if I try and bring it up, it's shut down so quickly. Not that I'm trying to force it down anyone's throat. It's just like an open conversation. Like, we should be able to talk about anything, kind of thing. But they're quite homophobic. I was trying to ask about all of these, like, trans rights and stuff that maybe Nevada may have and stuff. But my cousin's wife did touch note on that in California, I believe. There are some, I don't know how to say it, like, I don't want to say safe havens, but maybe it's safer in California or different states for trans people.
Yep. Some states have specifically passed sanctuary laws that are like, if you're being, like, let's say a family has a trans child that they're trying to get them on puberty blockers because they're like 12 and they really should be on blockers by then. If they decide to move to a state where they can get health care for their kid because it's illegal where they're from, or even just travel to a state to get the health care. Some conservative states are trying to basically force the state that they went to give the conservative state their information so that they can be prosecuted under that state's law, which is fucking stupid. But yeah, no, it's like, it's pretty bad. Everybody in chat's like pretty convinced that you called Jovan and had a major crash out last night. So it's really interesting. that they I think that
and apparently engaged in microaggressions.
What? I don't know who. What's the name?
Is
Jovan.
this the first time you've called any call-in show, or have you called any of our other shows before?
No, I debate on like Christian lines and stuff, but I don't. This is the first time I've come on this one. I did see just before this one, the person on the left of my screen. I don't know the name. They were on a different.
That's
show
probably
with somebody
me.
with really nice curly hair.
Oh yeah, my hair is dirty today, so it's up in the bun.
Oh, I thought she said
no,
curly
you.
hair.
I don't mean you. I meant like the lady next to you. She had like the really nice curly hair.
Josie. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. You were in the chat from the last show. Okay, got you.
Yeah. I was in that, and I said, when can I join and stuff? And they said you'll be transferred, but because it's quite late here, I was like, should I leave it? Should I not? Kind of thing. But I wasn't in anything yesterday. I was very busy yesterday, so that can't have been me.
Yeah, your name must your voice must just be exactly like the other person who called, because the chat is so convinced. But we do have a couple other callers waiting. Nat, I've had a good time talking to you. I'll let you cook on that a little bit. If you've got more questions, I'll be here again next week probably.
Okay, what's your name, sir? I'm genuinely don't know because there's so many.
It's cool.
Mermaid,
I'm Luxander. I'm Luxander. Ari's the one with the purple glasses.
Yeah, and the pink shirt. Okay, I wasn't talking a lot this time.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
Fine.
Just being on. I don't know.
It's all good.
Word vomit.
All right. Thanks, Nat. I'll talk to you later. Bye. I was really quiet through all like the previous show, so I'm kind of like I was like saving my voice a little bit so that I could be an annoying asshole on this show.
Do it.
But listen, feel free to jump in. And I try to watch. Like if it seems like you're trying to get a word in, I try to keep that space open. So
no, on that one I was just reading. So and also it I was like, I was watching the chat.
Yeah, like, that one was you were like the entertainment factor of the chat being like, that's the same lady over and over and over again.
Yeah, there was just a point where I'm like, I'm gonna call it out just to see what happens, and then you know what? It kept the chat busy, which is that's the point of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You're
Keeping
right,
you guys active and engaged. Which by the way, if you haven't hit the like button, you should. It's quick and it's easy and it's free and it's a super easy way to support the show.
Yes.
I'm just reading the chat suddenly.
She did call Lux, sir. I heard that as well.
Oh, I didn't hear. I'm dressed like a guy today. I'm in trans mask mode.
In fairness, well, Jay, if you stayed on the line, like we were just about ready to bring up another call. So I'm sorry you are bad at that. In fairness, sir isn't a pronoun. It's just there was one point in the military where it's not. No, I've looked at this. Neither is ma'am. So
what is it? What is it? What does it count as?
An honorific.
An honorific. Okay, no, that makes sense. Okay, I got you. No, that makes sense.
I'm not saying it's like a good thing, but I mean, some people call
deliberately gendered though. Like it is. I make that assumption that if people call me a gendered term, they did it on purpose.
Yeah. It's just weird. I think it is weird. I try not to call people that, but sometimes when it slips out and they're like, sir, I'm not a sir, I'm a man. I'm like, oh, my bad. Can't tell by voices. So.
Wait, did Jay just complain about how he hung up because it took us too long to take his call?
Probably.
I was going to take you next. Literally, I was like, oh, that seems like it's going to be a fun call.
Yeah, Jay called right back.
We'll get you in immediately. I will wait, and I will not take another caller so that I can prioritize taking Jay because I wanted to talk to him.
Exactly. Jay, call back in right now. Get through the screener. And we'll bring you. Nope, you can't request on my TikTok, bro. Thank you for realizing that real quick. You have to call the number on the screen.
Yeah, sorry. We're on the line tonight. Technically, we're dual streaming on TikTok, but that's not our primary plat right now.
Yeah. It is where I get my MAGA from primarily. Get your keys ready.
It's going to be interesting to see if we dual stream over to TikTok, if we're going to start to get some more spicy callers, because I feel like it's really hit or miss lately.
It's
on
going to be
YouTube?
fun. I'll have to explain. Well, actually, I think it'll be fine with Jimmy because he'll be using a stream key. I'll have to make sure if he uses TikTok Studio that he knows how to turn off guest requests.
Okay.
So that way they can't even try to request up. And then that kind of alleviates part of that.
Yeah, I didn't understand that TikTok has a specific infrastructure in place for bringing on guests. That's very cool.
It does. I don't use it anymore because I only use it for people that co-host with me or my backup account so people can follow it because there is a group of people on TikTok that go around showing body parts on camera, and I'm not losing my account.
No, we're sure not going to tinker with that.
Yeah.
Is Jay calling back? Jay's calling back.
That's him. You might as well it'll be a trip.
Thank goodness. Aww. So excited. Jay's topic is that, if it's the same topic he called in with earlier, it's that, yes, conservative ideology does harm, and I like that it does harm. So I'm really excited to talk to them.
Why did he drop again?
He's being a baby about calling in anonymously. He refuses to call in not anonymously.
But he called in the first time not anonymously.
Get on the phone and call us. Listen, the only thing we do with your phone number is if you make a violent threat, we give it to the FBI. So if you don't make a violent threat, then nothing's going to happen to your phone number. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's going to be okay.
Guys, I know you guys say Jay suck. He sucks. You guys don't understand. He is pure entertainment. You don't understand how entertaining TikTok guests are. Okay. I am here for the chaos. You guys got to be here for the chaos.
I enjoy a little bit of chaos.
Yeah.
Well, if Jay is going to be a little poo-poo butthead, then I guess we have a couple other people who are on the line. Is there any of the particular ones standing out to you? Or do we want to just take them in order?
Just take it in order for right now.
Okie dokie. We are now going to talk to Paul, he, him pronouns, who is calling from Ohio. Paul, you are live on Calling It Now. Whoa, there was a loud beep. You're live with Luxander and Ari.
Loud. How you guys doing?
Yeah, hey.
Hello.
So loud.
Everything sounds good now. Okay, great. Your topic about gender being socially constructed. Tell me about it. I'm really curious.
Yeah, so I accept that gender is partially socially constructed, and I believe that gender roles are a good thing that should be imposed on the people because gender is moral. That is my take.
Okay. So let me just run that through. Okay, you said gender is moral, and therefore it's good to impose it on people because we're imposing a moral conscription.
Oh, an imposition.
Yes, would you like me to define gender? Possibly.
Yeah, sure. That sounds fun.
Maybe we're not on the same. Okay. So to me, gender is a social expression of biological realities. So there is a biological reality of sex, right? That's male and female. And then that biological reality is going to be expressed differently depending on the culture. And so there's going to be different norms across every culture, like obviously like the Greco-Roman understanding of a man and a woman is going to be foreign to a Persian one or foreign to a Russian one. However, they are all downstream from sex. And I basically advocate for gender because I believe that when we gender people, we create more moral characters. And when we have more moral characters in society, society tends to operate more safely and under a set of a common morality, which leads to better outcomes for the individuals within society.
Okay. I mean, I'd love you to draw the connection between gender and morality for me.
100%. Yeah. So a few things on this. I don't want to be too long-winded here, but basically I'll summarize as we are attempting to tame the animal that is man and develop them into a socially moral character. So I'm fighting against that animal, which is our nature. So men should be taught, for example, like biological males, that just because we are stronger on average, we can be more brutish. That does not give us a moral right to dominate others. I am totally against the idea of my mixed rights, for example. And gender can create moral boundaries where the identity of a man can be constricted into something that's morally acceptable. So the goal is to reduce the amount of harm done to other people And this is just a reality that people have to accept. Males are going to be disproportionately more able to commit harm against those that are innocent. So there's going to be a hierarchy here. And so obviously below the hierarchy of like an ideally healthy man is going to be, it's going to be women, it's going to be children, and it's going to be animals, innocent animals. And I think if you're a womanizer or an animal abuser or any of these things, you are not a man. I don't think you deserve the title of being a man.
There's so much going on here, Paul.
There's a
lot going on in here, and I don't even know where to begin. So you want to impose gender on people, and there's a moral. Okay, so okay. Hold on. Maybe I'm picking something up here. I'm picking something up here that maybe makes sense. So you're kind of picking up on this thing that people say when they're like, "You're not even a real man," as a moral thing. Like if you're not honorable. Is that kind of what I'm picking up on? Like, if a man isn't fulfilling his responsibilities, then his failure to fulfill responsibilities and to uphold what it is to be a man is like dishonorable. Is that kind of, or like immoral? Is that where we're hitting?
Yes, and obviously this is measurable, right? Because if you are a man that is a slave to his own impulses, for example, if you don't honor things like consent, which is also socially constructed, that will lead to harm to other people. We need social constructs in order to have an orderly society instead of one where everyone is a slave to their carnal impulses. And so I think gender is a really useful tool. And you look at this history of civilization, you can differentiate societies based on the development of gender. This is something you can look at.
How do trans people fit into this worldview?
Yeah, because your hierarchy.
This is where it gets interesting.
Well, Paul, because your hierarchy was men over women over children. So where do transgender individuals or intersex individuals fit in?
Sure. So obviously, if you're born intersex, which is the minority of the population of this sort of graph that we're going to be looking at, you are going to be an exception to the rule, but not the rule. And I am somebody identifies as a trans medicalist. And so what that means is I do believe that there are real realities to being dysphoric about your gender, about your body, about other aspects of your identity. And these should be studied and also taken very seriously by the medical community. Obviously, there's a lot of guys online, especially, and I'll tie this into the point, who will kind of prop up this alpha male persona and say things like, like I'm against trans people, etc., but they themselves will be taking HRT, right? They themselves will be going to the gym and taking steroids, which is a form in and of itself of gender affirming care. So that's as far as I go with it. I understand that people on an individual level suffer with their identity. And I view that as a tragic thing. I have people in my family who have lost their life and also gone through the process of surgery due to gender identity issues. So I'm sympathetic. But the transgender cause is an exception and not the rule. The rule should be ordered gendered society. However, if you fall out of that bracket, let's just say you're a male, and you feel, and maybe even hormonally, you're imbalanced, and you're going to be more so in the direction of a feminine character, or someone who is more aligned with female attributes. I could see a society in which you could actually order yourself properly into the female gender, right, or into the gender of a woman. I will say though, I don't know what your take on this will be. I find that a lot of people within the trans community who are outside of like the medical aspects of it, who mostly are there socially, tend to not formally go into a specific gender category, and they're more fluid. I do see fluidity in gender to be overall destabilizing to the social fabric of a society, but if it's only happening in a minority, I don't care. But it can become a problem if it begins to be like a popular social movement that destabilizes the order.
I do love the idea that my presence in society could be destabilizing. That is very funny to me. I know you said, and I'm being a little bit silly. I know you meant you're not saying individuals, but if it bucks the system. But I'm interested in destroying the gendered system. So you would be correct in identifying me as a threat to that, like that particular angle of status quo or stability. I'm interested what you think about gender nonconforming cis women, right? Like Ari does math for her job. She's an accountant. And so like gender nonconformity in that sense of like, so I'm, you seem to be open to the idea that gender norms can flex over time or through culture. So like if I go to India, right, if I go to India, the culture is different there, the expectations are different. So yeah, like, and to place moral weight on it. So like, is a woman who refuses to have children immoral, or a woman who decides to prioritize her career and she pays for someone else to raise her children, like a nanny or something? Or if a woman wears if she works on cars and she's got short hair. So I'm curious, can you hit that angle for me of like, what does gender conformity mean in a moralistic system?
Sure. Just so you understand my framework going into it, I am in favor of whatever progresses civilization. So I'm not regressive. I'm not somebody who wants to dismantle the progress we've made on identifying gender, for example. And things like having short hair or liking the color purple are socially constructed aspects of gender that have nothing to do with biology. And these things can morph and change in different cultures. And we see this historically. So if you're a girl with short hair that works in a car, I don't see you endangering any aspect of the survival of civilization. In fact, you could actually probably be very beneficial to it. I think that excellent people exist within any bell curve. And if there are women who are experts, even in fields where biologically they might be fighting uphill, then they should be allowed to perform in that field in order to advance society. So,
okay, so you're not strict on your gender roles. You're not strict on your gender roles.
Well, I'm going to be strict, and this is where you will definitely disagree, is I'm strict when it comes to the biological aspect. Like, I do fundamentally believe that men and women are constructed differently biologically, hormonally, and we produce different outcomes in society.
What would be a non-biological woman, though? Like, what would a non-biological woman be?
Well, I mean, the example I gave earlier was someone with a hormone imbalance or other identity issues who are conforming to the socially constructed aspect of gender. Now, obviously, with medical advancements also, this is something that conservatives are going to really have to deal with, is when we're actually able to produce people, like, for example, a male, and fully, through surgery, transform them biologically into a woman, maybe even capable of giving birth, the conservatives will no longer have an argument, right? But I will still have an argument to an extent that, yes, you can biologically construct, using medical advancements, a male into a female, but if they're not fulfilling to the gender roles that are in place, I don't believe they deserve the title of a woman. And I'm sure your next question is, well, what are those requirements for a woman?
Yeah, I mean, that is the question, right? Because you're saying gender roles and you're also saying sex characteristics. And I feel like those are two different things. So yeah, please pursue that for me.
Sure. Well, these are two different things, right? But these two things are complementary. They're downstream from one another. So, for example, men are going to be more often than not physically more capable than women at certain tasks. And so as a society, in order to be the most efficient, historically we categorize them in these things like, I don't know, construction work, bricklaying, whatever. Those are all the classic conservative talking points. But what can come out of that is because of these circumstantial, the conditions, right? The socioeconomic conditions that the man is under now, gender will then express uniquely based on those circumstances. And going to the woman point, my view is that we are all duty bound as people. And when it comes to women also have very specific duties that they have to perform within society. I do believe women are better and more maternal. They're better at maternalistic tasks. This does not have to do with only their children, but people as a whole. I believe they bring a very unique view of reality to the table. This also has to do with, I don't know if I doubt you disagree with this, but because of, hormone balances between men and women, we think and see the world very differently. We feel the world differently. Women, being a biological woman is a far different experience than being a trans woman. This is just true. A biological woman will bleed once a month. They'll have other life experiences. Trans women will not have. You see what I'm saying?
Listen, I've done the gamut. I've done the gamut of hormonal profiles, and trans women do have period symptoms. The only one that they don't experience is the bleeding, and it fucking sucks. Yeah, so I guess, like, okay, so what you're saying is that there is a biological reality that you want people to conform to. So I guess I want to hit back on that question. Do you think that women are failing morally at upholding their gender role if they don't have children?
No, you don't have to have a child to be a woman.
Well, that's not the question. My question is, are they failing morally to uphold their gender to the fullest extent? Because I feel like I'm missing. This is the substance I'm trying to get to. Is like you're ascribing morality to it. Give me some situations in which a man or a woman is failing at their gender and it is immoral.
Sure, if a man sees another man harming a woman and doesn't intervene, if he has the physical capacity due to his sex to intervene and he doesn't, and he shows cowardice and he doesn't uphold to principles like chivalry, for example, with women or other creatures, or if I say creature meaning animal or people or anything that is beneath him in the hierarchy and doesn't approach them with respect, which once again, as outlined earlier, is very easy for a biological male to do if they're healthy and strong.
Yeah, I'll let Ari ask you a question. Yeah.
I'm gonna tie politics into this for a second. Curiosity, who did you vote for in 2024?
I voted for Trump.
So you're failing as a man?
I'm assuming it's because of how Trump treats women.
He has harmed women. It's on the matter of public record. In his divorce, he ripped out a chunk of his wife's hair and brutally raped her. So if you supported him, then you're not really upholding your responsibility as a man to use your physical stature to check other men who are harming women physically.
Per your own logic.
Yeah. And I will concede here. I did. And every guy that voted for Trump in 2024 off the false pretenses and the lie that was his original campaign, in which he has betrayed us, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And I will say, I will argue, I'm younger. I was younger at that time. Just to put that out there, and obviously that's not an excuse, but I will say that generally speaking, a lot of Americans felt trapped. I know women in my life who personally voted for Trump despite despising him because of the propaganda, which I also fell for. So I was a victim of propaganda, and you were right. I should not have voted for him, and I failed as a man.
That is interesting.
And I think more men should look at it like this. More MAGA men should look at it like this. They should understand what it means to be a man. This is a good example of gendered roles in society.
You're in Ohio, so I'm going to keep on this for just a second. Who is your representative in Congress in Ohio?
I do not know off the top of my head, but I can look it up. I'm in Salem, which is like in the middle of nowhere.
I have no idea. So Max Miller has been in the news a lot lately, and he is a representative out of Ohio. Should he drop out of the race?
Mm-hmm.
He's been accused by three exes of domestic violence, including with his current ex that he's in a custody battle with, of child abuse.
Yeah, I mean, if these allegations are true and it's held up to the strongest evidentiary standard and he's found guilty, then 100% he should drop out immediately. And can I drive home a point here, though, in regard to what you just said? I really want to drive this point in. Another great example. Now, why is it that we have so many men in our society today that are not upholden to chivalry, that are upholden to these proper understandings of gender? And why is it that this is true, by the way?
Patriarchy.
I'm on the phone right now. And the patriarchy has existed for thousands of years, and we actually haven't seen the same results.
Yeah, you boxed yourselves into it.
Sure. Wait, could you elaborate? Box myself into what?
Yeah, men. So the patriarchy is what's contributing to your own ideology of gender norms and how you think men are the protectors, women should be the ones protected from other men, and that you are not a man if you are not standing up for women that have been harmed or not protecting women from being harmed. That in and of itself is in fact the patriarchy. The fact that women even there's a thought in a man's head that women should be protected from other men is a part of the patriarchal system, because you are living in and believing in gender norms. And that by itself is patriarchy. Yeah. Women have been placed in roles. They are the ones that are behind the scenes, right? In the olden times when everything first started, right? They weren't acknowledged as equals, which is what you did when you said that men are superiorly built to women, right? They're stronger than women, right? Inherently a sexist trope that is told by men. But that is a part of the patriarchal system where men are put on a pedestal to be above women. So yes, the fact that you are putting yourself on a pedestal, you're putting other men on a pedestal to be above women, because that's exactly what you did with your hierarchy, where it was men above women, above children.
Okay, I have a question for you then. Why is it, or how about this for you? The burden of proof is on you to show me that in a traditional society, this is before all of our advancements that we have now, and the restructuring of our economy and all these things, for the vast majority of human history, please prove that that the hierarchy that I outlined was not real, that biological males were not physically superior to women and could not brutalize them if they so wanted to. Why is it that the hierarchy formed? Is the patriarchy a part of nature? And if it's not, please prove how it was socially constructed.
It's not a part of nature. We actually already know this, right? So I'm sorry, I do have to go outside of humanity to do this, because what you're talking about is formed under the idea of religion. Even if you are not religious in any sort of way, it is inherently formed and built upon the idea of Christianity, where it was originally stated within biblical text, right, that women are subservient to the man, right? So it was built upon there. But if you go back and you look into the animal kingdom, right? The lioness is the hunter. The lioness puts the lion in its place every single time. The lioness runs the pack, not the lion. And you can see that throughout nature. The same can be true said with wolves. There is no actual alpha wolf. It's literally always the female in nature that picks the mate, picks the higher up, and puts it out there. Bonobos are matriarchal, so the women are above. That's so like there's so many animals out there, like where it's the females that are ahead of the men, or sorry, the males, and that also run the show. But even if we look into past times, it is absolutely untrue to say that women did not fight in past battles, like throughout the cross.
That's not what I said. Just to clarify, I really want to make that clear.
I'm not saying you said that.
I did not say that.
I didn't say you said that.
How's it relevant to what I said?
What did I miss?
Because I was continuing on within my own statement where you said the burden of proof for some reason is on me to prove that we've lived outside of this patriarchal system. Which is funny because there have been women leaders, specifically in the United Kingdom, where there were queens with the monarchy, where women did rule. And they were listened to.
I want to go back to the animal point, though. I understand that we're not animals, so whatever, we can bring this up to. With the lion and lioness case, this in particular I know about. I can't speak for anything else.
Well, you keep talking about nature and biology, and we cannot ignore our roots to having evolved.
That's fine. Do you know why the lioness is the hunter?
More agile, I would assume.
Yeah, they have biological traits that make them superior to the male lion at hunting. This is just true. And so obviously then what's the natural conclusion of that? Well, then they will organize themselves into hunting like that in order to survive because of natural selection and evolutionary biology.
Yeah, and it's wrong to ignore the fact that humans are also animals.
Okay, it would be wrong to ignore the fact that the evidence you just gave me on the contrary is actually still rooted in biology with the lioness.
Cool. You've heard of the indigenous tribes, right?
Which ones?
Any American? Of them. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. They also let women lead. They also let women lead hunts. I gotta go let my dog back in. Hold on.
Sure.
Okay, fair enough.
Ari's gonna step away for a second and let her dog out.
Okay.
And I stepped away for a second to use the restroom, so I don't know what we're talking about. I just came back and we're talking about animals and stuff. Catch me up a little bit. Give me the last topic that we were talking about, Paul.
She made a fair point. So she brought that in animals. We actually do see matriarchal social organizations, right? With the lioness hunting more often than the male. And I just kind of tied that simply still back to biology. The reason why the lioness hunts more is because of their biological attributes to do so. They have through evolutionary biology and natural selection, they've been bred in a specific way where they hunt more naturally, they're more agile, they have better endurance. And so I was waiting for her to give me an example that still did not just come back to biology. And she was going to tell me about the indigenous people. And I was going to wait for a source on that because it's easy to say that, but and
the
Iroquois.
Yeah, the Iroquois, the Iroquois tribe, the Dene, and the Pueblo nations also had women leaders and women that led. My dog was out for like 30 minutes and it's hot and it's
completely understandable.
I see.
What you got to do.
Would you mind? I don't mean to be like bothersome. Would you mind telling me how to spell that? I don't know. I was just gonna quickly
The
look at that.
Dine, D-I-N-E, with an apostrophe above the E. I can't remember what that's called. The Iroquois, and I might be pronouncing it wrong, and you guys can correct me. It's Iroquois.
Yeah, I've always heard Iroquois, but yeah.
Thank you. No, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong.
I've never heard a native person say it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I also, like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I didn't mean for that to fall.
Okay.
I'm also interested on this topic. So I guess what we're talking about is patriarchy, and what we're talking about is a society being led by men, and how, like, because of the physical strengths, that makes them uniquely positioned to be leaders. Is that accurate, Paul?
Yeah, I was arguing, and by the way, I'll even concede that in the modern context, the patriarchy is becoming less relevant. I was just simply saying that I do believe that it was a natural and organic formation of society. I'm not entirely convinced that was entirely socially constructed on its own.
Well, what I find interesting about that is that women are leaders. I think more women are leaders than men are leaders, because as someone who yeah, and here's why. Here's why, because I fulfill in my household a role that would I'm working, but I also fulfill, like, the house spouse role. Like, I'm the person who cooks the food and buys the groceries and tells everybody when things need to happen and everything. And I don't have young children, but if I had young children, I would also be, like, the person who's the primary parent, probably. There was a lot of P's in that sentence. And the thing is that is a managerial role. It's a leadership role.
Of course.
It requires a huge amount of admin. So just looking at the number of women in this country who have...
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is that women are actually leaders more than men are. And women actually demonstrate good leadership skills more than men do, because they have their shit together in every household that has children and a heterosexual couple. Like, men are generally not taking point. And I find it really interesting in a society in which men have primarily been the leadership people because of the fact that they use violence to steal power from women, that we constantly get into wars, that we have large amounts of homelessness, and, like, in smaller scale communities where women take leadership roles, like the ones that Ari was talking about, people's needs seem to be fulfilled more equitably in those systems.
Right. Could I comment on that?
We haven't seen that scale out in the broad scale, but it would be interesting. And I'm saying that I fail to see how patriarchy actually means, like, how have men demonstrated that they're actually good leaders when I see women leading every day?
Well, women can be phenomenal leaders. I've never countersignaled this. It's where they're leading and how. And in managerial positions, like, for example, in an office or in the home, women traditionally, even in older societies, were in charge of managerial positions. Look at Greco-Roman societies. Women were in charge of resource management a lot. They're very good at this.
Yeah, would that not make them good governance people? Why would you not want them, like, leading your society?
I never said that. I'm simply talking about...
I guess I don't know what you mean by a patriarchy then.
Sure. And originally I was just fighting against the idea that the patriarchy was entirely socially constructed. And just to put this point home, I didn't do deep research into the Iroquois tribe, just for context, but just from what I looked up, the first thing it says is men were typically responsible for hunting. Men also generally did most of the large game hunting. However, women were responsible for fishing, small game or birds, or hunting in exceptional circumstances when there were no men, yet had a far higher mortality rate. And you can Google this. I mean, if you want a source, there's a source here with it also. But just to put that argument to rest, I guess. Like, I guess it did happen, but in exceptional cases.
I mean, Ari, that was more your point. I didn't know if you had a response on that one.
I just don't know what his gotcha is with that. I didn't just mention that I said they led hunting parties, which is still true. And I also said that they led their tribes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand your...
Maybe I missed something, Paul, because I thought that what you were saying earlier was that you support the idea of a hierarchical gender system in which men are the leaders of that system. Am I wrong in thinking that that's what you said?
I never actually mentioned that a man has to be present. I was more so talking about the gendered aspect of being a male.
No, your specific hierarchy was that men were above women and women above children.
Ari's taking notes.
Let's go back to
Yeah,
that.
I literally am, because I can't find my notebook, so I'm using
Let's elaborate on that. So the context in which I was saying that was you're asking for an example in which you're gendering a man and creating a social archetype of a moral man would be good. I gave my reasoning, which has been, I haven't seen, I don't know, maybe you did, I just didn't realize. No one has seemed to cite me a source or tell me that I'm wrong here. A fully developed, healthy, biological male, which I get it was a lot more common back then than it is now, but if they have the proper testosterone and all these things, is going to be more likely than not able to harm the listed categories of people that I gave. And obviously that's a hierarchy. That's just the English language. That's what a hierarchy is. I wasn't saying like, oh, this is the strict hierarchy that needs to be forever. I was giving an example of, well, here's an example of where a male could seriously abuse his power and does all the time. And it would be better for him to be ordered and categorized into a specific gender group in which he can try and attain the goal of being a man, which historically has worked. Like we have.
I've just had a really interesting question pop up.
Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So I was like thinking back earlier to when we were discussing, like you said, a man is failing morally in his responsibilities as a man, and he is less of a man if he doesn't protect women. Like if he sees a woman being attacked and he doesn't protect her, then that's like a moral failure on his part.
Or a weak man, yeah. Anything weak.
Yeah. Why would it not be beneficial to society to just say that you're a bad person if you don't defend someone physically who you could physically defend? Because like if I see a woman getting attacked, I'm gonna think about it, but I carry pepper spray, and if I accidentally pepper spray her a little bit in pepper spraying him, I'm gonna do that. So like I fail to see where is the benefit of placing this on a gendered dichotomy rather than having a gender neutral approach to good moral values and like good moral character. You know what I mean?
Sure. And like, I am all for that if it wasn't for the case, like mentioned before, that between males and females, there are inequalities in biological characteristics.
But I'm going to get a concealed carry. But Paul, I have a gun, so that does not matter anymore.
Sure. And in that sense, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to argue against you. Hey, if you stop someone from, and this is the thing, like across all genders, the whole gender spectrum, if you do something good morally, if we even have any way to understand what is moral or not anymore, we can say, yeah, that is good. That's good that you took your gun out and shot a guy who was in the process of R-wording. I don't know what I can say here, but R-wording a woman, right?
Sure.
But more likely than not, not everybody has a gun, right? And I don't know, like I've seen cases in my life, and I hate to use anecdotes. I'm sure you have your own anecdotes, but not everyone has a gun. And without a gun or pepper spray, and by the way, even pepper spray, I've seen women get their beat up real bad while pepper spraying a guy, and the guy just kind of tanked it and beat her up. So like at the end of the day, that's fine. But if I would still feel morally obligated based on being a male to, even if a girl was pepper spraying a guy, to get in the way because I'm physically larger and I can take more brunt force. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I just fail to see why that should be unique to men. Like when like women be murdering, like women have committed lots of murders because leverage is a thing. So it's I know that, if we were 1v1ing, yes, in a 1v1 situation, a man is on average taller and has more reach. And that on its own is a big, huge, benefit in like a hand-to-hand situation. But like if we're trying to create a society in which we want to teach people what moral behavior means, why would we not empower everyone to say, hey, this is what being a moral character means? Like, even if I don't have a gun, maybe I can go over and rip the guy's ear off. Like I have other means by which I could help protect someone. If you think that I won't go full throttle, you're wrong. But
I'm not denying your means, obviously. Like, come on. I get what you're saying. And I'm in favor of creating moral characters for everybody. The situation I gave was specific just for the sake of the argument. But I will ask you then, because I am actually curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or what were you going to say?
No, go ahead. You ask your question. You're good.
I was going to ask you, because you said you don't see the points, or I guess you don't see why we should have this like social archetype of a man to, for example, fulfill the role I gave in that specific circumstance where a less physically capable woman is being, brutalized by a man. Why should he feel just because he's bigger, he should intervene? I'll ask you, what harm does it do to impose that? Like, let's just forget about all the other.
Well, I'm saying, why would you not just empower everybody? Like, I'm saying, why would you uniquely
not everyone
tell?
Will survive. Not everyone's going to survive that encounter. And listen, like there is, I get it, but there is measurable hierarchy here. And what I mean
we're
by
also
this
talking
is
about
the bell curve.
We're also talking about a very unique and specific situation, right? And we've honed in on this one example because when I asked you like what women do that makes them fail morally in their womanhood, and you kind of didn't have an example. So this is the one example that you gave of a gendered role that someone would be failing morally if they didn't fulfill it. What I'm trying to get at is like for most of the things that I understand to be gender roles, Paul, you don't care about. Like you don't care about whether women have children. And like somebody who has a conservative ideology or even some independent people would say that women who are healthy have like a moral responsibility to their country or to their society to bear children, and that they're failing morally as women if they don't do that, right? So I've been kind of trying to pick at I've been trying to kind of pick at like where is your specific situation? Like what do you care about when it comes to you think we should impose gender roles on people because that makes society more orderly and it is moral behavior. So I'm trying to figure because you seem to be really flexible about what aspects matter. And so that's what I've been trying to dig down to is like which
I'm sorry,
responsibilities.
You're right. I need to make a more direct, strong statement here. I will. So going back to the children thing with women, if I remember correctly, I was simply saying that having children doesn't make you a woman inherently, and being a woman doesn't require you to have children. That doesn't mean I think that women shouldn't have. That's not like a responsibility of being a woman. I do, and we can debate this. I do. And before we go into this, where are you deriving your morality from? I'm assuming it's just like happiness. Like, can we maximize happiness between individuals, or where are you getting your morality from here?
Myself.
Okay. So what is your self set? I'm all ears.
About which part exactly?
Yeah, but where is your self deriving morality? Like, it is not a gotcha. Like, I want to know, because if you say happiness, which a lot of people do say, that's fine.
No.
But
happiness isn't a factor or an indicator. I would say my morality is built upon the idea that there are basic needs that humans need to survive, or that have to be met in order for us to survive. And then I build it out upon there. So I believe in the basics of human rights that everyone should be given or allotted because you need to survive. And then it built out from there. Based upon my knowledge and history, studying, and how I built upon it. I don't believe that I need someone else to tell me what my morality should be.
Yeah, I totally respect that, and I think that's a good source of morality. And so then I'll challenge it. When it comes to women having children, you do understand that it becomes a necessity at some point for at least some women to have children for the progression of civilization. That's like a necessity if we want like another generation.
But would it be immoral if humanity went extinct? I don't know. We're assigning moral value to this, right?
Okay, so
I guess where do you get your morality from? I'll share because I haven't shared mine.
Fair enough. I apologize. Who was the one that just gave me the moral
Ari.
Their moral principle?
Yeah, Ari with the hair down. So, yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
I got a question right for you then. So, in regard to would it be immoral for humanity to go extinct? I would argue, even from your worldview, probably, because, well, let me explain. If the self is where we derive morality from, and there is no more self to create morality, wouldn't, at least from even a super liberal individualistic perspective, the existence of the self should be at the core of everything. You're trying to make sure that all selves have all their needs met, all their needs required. And also, I'll add one more thing. How do you know that sex and having children is not a need. And this is going to sound like a weird pivot, but I promise you it's relevant. Someone told me the same thing you did the other day when I was debating an incel. And the incel was like, well, in my moral principle, I think, sex should be a human right because I can't get it. So do you see my point here? Why is it or is it not? Like, how you draw the line here for someone like that incel I talked to who has the same moral principle as you, and he believes part of necessity is having sex. Like, how do you know what's necessary?
Yeah, so no, it's not immoral for humanity to go to extinct. In order for me to believe that it's immoral for humanity to go extinct, I would have to believe that there is objective morality, which I don't believe in. I believe that morality is subjective because every single person, as you just showed with you debating an incel, believing that it's immoral for him not to be able to have access to sex and it should be a basic human right that everyone and just, lines up and you can just have sex or something. That's where I draw my line, where I'm saying I would have to believe in objective morality to believe that it's immoral for humanity to go extinct. In fact, if it would actually be better for the planet, the animals that exist on the planet, if humans were no more.
I accept that. Fair enough. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. The one that's not Ari. Sorry, what is your name?
I'm Lux. Hi.
Lex, okay. Hi.
Yeah.
And now, same question to you. I'm just curious. Because fair enough, by the way, Ari, I respect that. But obviously, that there is no going further for either of us there, right? Because we were going off a different framework. I'm sure you also have a similar framework. But what's your view, Lex, on morality? How do you measure that?
I think first and foremost, we experience morality as an instinct because we evolved it. We evolved a sense of fairness. And so I think the first way we experience it is probably as children when someone is handed something that we want and we have this feeling of painful loss because we wanted the thing and somebody else got the thing that we wanted and there was a limited number of it or whatever. So a sense of fairness that, well, they got it and I should also have gotten it. The first time we experience morality is probably something like that because other animals have that too. We've tested that with monkeys. If you give one monkey a grape and another monkey a cracker, the one that gets the cracker is like, what the fuck? I want a grape.
Right.
They get really mad and it's really funny. It's really mean of us to do that. But yeah, so I think that's the first way we experience it. If I were to then build on that and create a moral system, my moral system is predicated on bodily autonomy as a primary value and reducing the total amount of suffering to the extent possible, and with a heavy dose of being responsible stewards of our environment and the ecology situation, which is something that I haven't really added in before, but I think it's a really significant part of my moral framework is I believe in being responsible stewards of the environment and of animals and stuff.
Well, this is a lot more to work with. I'll just say there's a lot more here. So
it's it shares some of what Ari was saying in that it comes from the self, because that's the first way that you experience it is you have a moral intuition.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But I will push back before you ask Lux any questions. Provide your basis of your moral framework.
Yeah, where do you get morals from?
Yeah, so, and this is obviously immediately going to get discredited. I'm religious, so I get my moral framework from the Catholic faith.
Okay. At least it's written down somewhere, so it's easy to read it.
Yeah, at least we're not just reinterpreting every couple of years. But anyways, so we can talk now about we can talk now about your moral structure. So limiting suffering seems to be the core of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the core elements for me.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that there is some suffering that is necessary or good?
Yes, probably not in the way that you're thinking, and I probably would reject some of the ways that other people would say that suffering is necessary. I'm not a vegan, for example, because I think that animal death is necessary. I think that our death is necessary to an extent. Cool. Because this is, I think, my number one thing. Responsible stewardship of an environment means checking for overpopulation. I think hunting is good. the majority of the time when anything on this planet dies, it's because it's been eaten alive by something else, right? Like that, death is a necessary component for our life to exist the way that it does. But when we're talking about like human suffering, something which we have overwhelmingly the power and resources to minimize, I struggle a little bit with those types of scenarios when people are like, because again, like I was a victim of child abuse, and sometimes people are like, well, didn't that experience shape you into the person that you are? And I'm like, yeah, but it took a lot of fucking work to get here, and I could have been way more functional 12 years ago and not have had to spend my entire 20s being traumatized. So I kind of have a nuanced opinion on that question.
That's totally fair. And I'm glad that you expanded that, because that kind of limits my question here. My follow-up question was going to be, obviously, if you're trying to limit suffering, then my next question was, what's good suffering? I kind of get where you're coming from now. Do you see, or can we see eye to eye and find middle ground in the understanding that sometimes you have to do hard things in order to achieve a good? And obviously, good is a moral word, right? So I'll give you my definition. Like, a good example would be, just look at all of human development. Lots of suffering, right? A lot of suffering, and a lot of it's unnecessary. And that's where I'm sure you and Ari are joining up here on this idea that, well, all the unnecessary stuff was wrong and needs to be deconstructed or stopped. And now that we're in this new era of humanity, we're progressing to a stage where we can abandon things like the patriarchy and these unnecessary instruments of suffering. And I can even sympathize with that. But I'm just curious if you can you think of any off the top of your head now in the modern context, some examples in your moral framework where you can excuse suffering and say, well, in this case, I know it's hard, but it's necessary for the development of this thing?
I mean, that's interesting, right? Like, could we get to a place where we're building solar panels if we didn't do like the Industrial Revolution with coal burning, Like, that's an interesting question that I don't know that I have a clear answer to, because, like, obviously people are currently dying because of all the coal that we've used over the last 100 years. But, like, we now have the ability to have, like, a super future solar punk techno luxury future that we could do with solar panels and other renewable energy sources, right? So, like, if we could, ensure the future of our planet and humanity by going fully green, and like, that would balance out, I think, in the longer term, right? But then we're trolley problem. Like, now we're trolley problem. Fully, how much suffering is worth some other good?
I see it. Okay, fair enough. Well, I don't want to take up too much of the time. I'm sure there's more callers. I don't know if there's any more questions you have for me. I don't know. I mean, whatever you guys want to say. But I think I'll just say this. I respect your guys' opinions, and you guys articulate yourselves very well. And I'll think about it. I'll think about a lot of the stuff you said.
This has been a very interesting conversation.
Interesting.
So, I appreciate you, Paul. We'll talk to you again sometime. Bye-bye.
Dismantle your patriarchy.
It was so interesting. I don't know what to make of him.
Well, I mean, lots of contradictions for one. Like,
maybe deconstructing. Maybe like actively he's in a process right now.
I think that's probably what it was, because of how many contradictions. Like, well, if there's an exception to the rule, then it's not the rule, and we don't. They don't have to abide. Basically, like, they don't have to abide by the rules. It's just like, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, obviously y'all want spice. Y'all want us to yell at people, but like, I was really unable to find anything in that call that was like, we have a very strong disagreement and there's no nuance to our disagreement. But maybe that's just part of the being in deconstruction, right? Where you're like not willing to take as firm of opinions, or you're in the middle of conceding, or you have to concede something in the middle of the conversation. Probably. Like, there was one point where he was like, no, that's a good point. So for somebody who's actively in that process, I know it's not the most entertaining for people, but you're witnessing like the process happening out loud, where somebody is mulling their thoughts and they're seeking new opinions and everything. Yep. And sometimes that is just a conversation. So I'm sorry if that was boring for everybody. We do have a caller waiting. Typically we're supposed to be here for another hour. I feel like if we don't get another caller after this one, then I'm cool with ending it like a half an hour early.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have a paper to write.
There's a new Venezuelan restaurant that opened up near our house, so we're gonna look at going there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yummy, yummy. Oh,
Exactly.
I have to cook tonight. Why do I do this to myself? I do the meal planning and I make myself cook sometimes after the show. I'm like, I don't know why I do this.
But also, there was Tanya in my chat said, I enjoyed that conversation on y'all's part. And actually, a few people did like it. Even in YouTube, they liked it. So
good. Yeah. Better than Nat Call. Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, we're going to take our one. We do still have lines open, 336-543-2101. And, at maximum, we'll be here for another hour taking calls. MAGA, conservatives, call in. I'm trans. Ari's a woman who does math for a living. And so that's got to be an affront to somebody's perspective.
Numbers.
Yeah, I am in pre-calculus functions, and I actually think it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
I know. Listen, I have to. I'm an engineer. I'm trying to get an engineering degree.
Yeah, never mind.
You have to do math, and then more math, and then guess what? More math. And then next term, guess what? And more math. Just basically for 4 years. So.
And I am sad that Jay didn't call back. So.
I know. I wanted to talk to that guy who I think he did call back in under Joe. So maybe there was a point where he was in the queue as Joe. And when I read the description, I was like, oh, I guess that's the same guy. But he kept having the same issues of connecting and then dropping again.
Dropping off. Yeah.
Yeah. It just would have not been a fun call in that sense of continuously dropping.
Yeah. His service isn't always the best when he's on a TikTok panel, but there is a difference between Wi-Fi data and your cellular phone connection. So
it's true.
Could have been better. I just wanted it. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, we will make do with what we have. We're going to take another caller. And by the way, again, lines are still open. Once again, 336-543-2101. Click the like button if you haven't. Click share and copy the link. I don't care if you paste it anywhere. As far as YouTube is concerned, that counts as sharing it. So we are going to speak to Wesley, he, him pronouns, calling from North Carolina, who wants to talk about gender nonsense. Wesley, you are live on Calling It Now with Luxander and Ari. How's it going?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
Living the dream every day. Well, tell us about your topic. Get into it for us.
I was just listening to y'all have that wonderful conversation with that young man earlier, and I just wanted to ask want to ask you guys a few questions.
Yeah, please.
Y'all were talking about the construct of the patriarchy. Have y'all ever defined what the patriarchy is?
I don't know that I personally have. I would probably.
I don't think I have either.
Yeah, I would probably try to find an academic definition.
Okay. Yeah. So I can help if you are willing to listen for a minute. Because it's not that complicated. It really isn't. People try to make it complicated, but it's not. The patriarchy is a word that is derived from the word patriarch. The word patriarch comes from the root word patri, which is father, where we get the word father, patriarch, patron, but it's also the word where we get patronizing from. So there seems to be a lot of patronizing going on a lot, and y'all, for some reason, started calling that masculine energy. Not sure why, but that's a thing.
I mean, if the root cause and all the words that come from the root word end up meaning men, or referring back to men, that would kind of make sense. And also patriarchy is if you want it, this is from Merriam-Webster, a social organization marked by the supremacy of the father and the clan or family, the legal dependence of wives and children on men, and reckoning of descent and inheritance in the male line. So just a society ruled by the majority of men.
Ruled and for men by men.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, correct. So, why would it be for men by men?
Why would it be? I mean, it's
why would you do it? What motives would you have?
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't personally make that choice.
As a woman,
I can
wouldn't
imagine.
Do it. Correct. I understand that.
Well, I'm
as
not
a woman, you wouldn't do that.
I'm not a woman, but
you're a trans. You're a trans
subjugate.
Person. That
I wouldn't subjugate
that's
anyone
that's a different
for any reason. Ideally.
So you're looking at hierarchy as in hierarchy of supremacy, hierarchy as in matter of importance.
That is part of it.
Earlier, y'all were talking about higher as in trying to fulfill other people's needs, right? That we should be how we do things should be dependent on the need of the person. Y'all both said.
Are you
said
talking
that too.
about
you agreed with
my
that.
construct of morality? Because it wasn't a construct of hierarchy.
No. I'm. You're not understanding what I'm trying to say. It's okay. Let me try to rephrase it in a different way.
So
it's. Let me try to rephrase what I was trying to say in a different way. The human needs that aren't being met in the on Earth at the moment are abundant, correct?
Probably.
Yeah. So where would you put more energy on the people who need more help or the people who need less help?
Why am I having to make this choice? I mean,
because
that's a good point.
Because it has to be made. Because it's a decision that has to be made.
But we have more than enough resources to give everybody everything they need, so we can just give it to everybody.
But we don't.
No, but we don't.
We
do though.
But earlier you made the comment about how your morality says that it's okay for the humanity to go extinct. Well, if humanity were to go extinct, that would be catastrophic to humanity. But how many people does the Earth have resources for? We figured that out decades ago.
All of them. We have more than enough resources now.
No, we don't.
Just like we also have enough empty land. We also have enough. If you just look at the United States in general, we have enough. Like, this is me deluxe right now. If you look at the United States in general, we have enough land resources for every single person, all 346 million individuals in the United States of America to have access
to house Earth,
to housing.
America.
Actually, sir, we could fit 5 countries. The population, we could fit 5, like the population of 5 countries at minimum in a state like Texas. Yeah, the United States absolutely has the ability to house additional people. I'll be honest, clearly the United States is a very well-placed, functioning continent, part of the continent of North America. Right. We have decent weather all across the board. We're not covered by ice by half our country, unlike Canada. We absolutely could host billions of people on our land and also house all of them.
It would be detrimental to our land.
Again, humanity should go extinct. It's not against my morality. If it's so bad for the land, like you said, congratulations.
I wasn't trying to say that. I wasn't trying to. I was just asking it for a number because we've equated that number. We've quantified that number of how many people the Earth can sustain because of the Earth can only naturally sustain.
What do you think that number is?
Well, scientists said 1 billion decades ago, and we have 8.
We know that's not true.
It is true. It's been proven. We use genetically modified fruit and vegetables to. Yeah, it's been proven. That's why we modified fruits and vegetables to increase their productivity to substantiate to try to keep up with the 8 billion that the Earth can't keep up with. So.
I mean, I'm seeing some studies that are saying
pesticides that we use are to keep up.
I'm seeing some studies that say we're at the perfect place. 8 billion is the perfect number. I'm seeing some studies saying that 16 billion is about the number of people that could be supported on planet Earth. I see one thing said that up to 100 billion people. Sorry, did I say million? I meant billion. But up to 100 billion people could be supported by Earth's resources. We definitely have the space. Wesley, do you not know about
space?
I'm about to ask you a question.
We do not have the.
I'm in the lead up to asking you a question.
We have the resources,
and then it'll be your turn.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah. If I could, I now have to remember the question. What with regards to our resources and having as many people as we have on the planet, like what do you think we're at with like how are you saying that our population currently is like outstripping our resources? Like, are you not aware of artificial scarcity? Because what we do right now is we artificially restrict resources and make scarcity when there isn't scarcity. Like there is more than enough housing, but we let people buy up all the housing. And there's more than enough food, but we restrict people's access to the food. Do you know that we let during COVID a bunch of potatoes rotted in the fields because they didn't want to give away the food. They could have gotten in touch with the nearest city and said, hey, everybody come pick up some free potatoes, but they didn't. They let it rot in the ground. So it seems like we have plenty of resources, but because there's a profit motive, we restrict resources artificially.
We are using up more topsoil and producing those potatoes than the earth is able to produce naturally. We are stripping all
Where
of the
are you
nutrients
getting?
from
Do you
the
have
soil.
A study that I can read about it? Do you have a link or something?
You can look that up. I don't have.
Well, I did. So what I did is I just Googled how many people could Earth support. What I just Googled was how many people could Earth support, and I'm getting a wild range of different answers, up to 100 billion
people. So that
people.
means nobody knows. That means that's just people's opinions. It's not.
So you
proven.
don't get. So the thing is that you, Wesley, that's not a range of opinions. That's a range of different people doing like math estimates with predictive models. So if you're willing to say, oh, none of those people can know for sure, none of those people have concrete proof, then neither the fuck do you, actually.
Okay. So I have no proof that in the 90s, that was literally in a UN bill to try to reduce the human population.
Why are we asking about a study from the 90s? So, that seems quite outdated, especially when we already know that we've surpassed the number that you're saying that we can sustain. And we have here, like from Science Alert, a sustainable poverty-free future is possible for all of humanity, based off of a study where they showed that we could actually survive and sustain with humanity on Earth 3 times of the Earth population that we have now, which is still about 8 billion. At the time, it was 2020, so I think we were 1 billion less.
So we're at 700.2 probably.
I see from Live Science as of 2022, most experts think planet Earth can support about 10 billion people. And that's with a good quality of life. So we're still 2 billion people away from that.
And that is a dream.
Global environmental change. No, it's not.
Do you know how math works and predictive models? I'm sorry, maybe this is just me coming from like
I went to school to be an engineer.
In a math class right now.
I went to school to be an engineer. I went to plenty of math classes. So
I'm taking some of the same classes that you would have taken. Cool, that's awesome. Yeah, so the thing is that people have made predictive models saying, hey, here's the resources. Here's the resources that we have. Well, the thing is that Wesley, you are citing something from 1990, but people keep doing the science on this. As recently as 2022, according to all of our resources, according to the math and variables that we have available to us, it seems like we could comfortably, without poverty, as Ari said, we could comfortably support a population of 10 billion people, which means that we could support our current population of 7.5 billion people with no poverty, and we choose not to. We have the resources now to have zero poverty, and that's a choice that we make. Or a choice that the patriarchy makes, realistically.
How is it the patriarchy makes that decision is my question.
Well, because patriarchies, for one example, patriarchies don't actually uphold the well-being of children. Matriarchies do. So in a patriarchal system, like what we have now, children are starving.
Define matriarchy.
Women
we already went over
define
this.
Matriarchy.
We literally already went over this.
Think of the patriarchy and just replace.
Did we not talk about patriarchy earlier?
Yeah, I did. I defined it. I gave the Merriam-Webster.
That wasn't the last caller. That was this caller.
That was this caller. Yeah, like I pulled it up on Merriam-Webster. I gave that dictionary. If you need me to, I can go back to Oxford. Right. So now matriarchy is every time we say man, male, or father, you replace it with woman, female, or mother.
Matron. Or matron. That would be matron. So that would be the matriarchy of the matrons who are supervising the power in which you want. That would be the gender role of women, which is condemned and said was horrible by the incestuous pedophile Dr. John Money in the 50s. So what is your matriarchy?
Wesley,
What the fuck?
take a breath, because it sounds, Wesley, it sounds like you're about it sounds like you're about to start crying. So take a breath.
I'm not.
We're now on John Money somehow. I don't really know how we got there.
So weird.
Yeah, it feels like we just had a weird escalation and we got way off topic all of a sudden.
Yes, we did. No, we didn't.
Yeah, so like if we actually look at current societies, if we actually look at current societies, like technically even the Jewish lineage itself is a matriarchal system because the religion itself is passed down through the mother's line. And that's exactly what I said. So when I look up matriarchy from the same thing, matriarchy, Merriam-Webster, is a family group or state governed by a matriarch or a woman, a system of social organization which descendant and inheritance are traced through the familial line of women or females. So exactly what I said previously, that if you just take the patriarchy definition and then you replace any instance of patron, right? I didn't say that one, but I'll add that in there for you. Patron, male, men, or father, and you replace it with matron, female, women, or mother, and then you still fit it. Like it's just turn it on its head. It's the opposite.
So
what is so wrong?
And equality.
What is so wrong if women were leading? For who?
No, did I literally say anything was wrong with that? So I literally just asked what?
For who? You said there would be no equity or equality for who in a matriarchal system.
If it's
for who?
There would be no for the patron.
For men.
For the support. So you want men to be for men, right? So you want men to be in the gender role of support and have no say, and then women be on the supervisor or matron over society.
What's wrong with that?
That's literally the gender roles. That is literally the gender roles.
No,
that is literally the gender roles.
I know
nothing's wrong with it.
Calm down.
There's nothing wrong with it. That's the point.
Yeah.
Everything you'll condemn,
why can't we be in a matriarchy?
Everything our society is built. Because you can't. Because you can't. Then you have the same problems. Because what are women? What is a woman?
I'm a woman. I don't understand your question. I don't understand why.
So I'm going to give you a non-discriminatory, non-derogatory definition of what is a woman. Equal and the same, and equal but different. That means you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, just like black people, right?
Just like the men. No. Did I bring race into it? No, because
you did just say separate but equal, but with more words, you fucking weirdo. God, what is wrong with you?
You literally just gave a segregation talking point.
What segregation happened? I said you were equal and the same and equal but different. So you have the equality of being the same and the equality of being different.
You're different. You're different, but you're equal. You just gave
a segregation line.
No, I didn't, because you hear segregation because you want segregation. I gave you no segregation.
Different. Equal but different.
Equal but separate and equal but the same. So both of them are equal and the same. Human, just like every human ever born, equal and the same and equal but different.
Wesley, can you take a breath? Wesley, take a breath. Calm down. It's okay. We're just having a conversation. I'm not getting heated. I don't know why. I know you're
not, because
he went from 3 to a 10, like real quick, just talking about the matriarchy.
Yes, I did.
Reel it back in. We're all right.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So define.
I'm still waiting to figure out what's wrong with the matriarchal system.
I think what he was ultimately saying is that,
it's the current one. It's the current one. It's not nothing wrong with it.
Wesley, let me just communicate what I think you were trying to say. What I think you were trying to say, and tell me if I'm wrong, was that if we think that there's morally nothing wrong with a matriarchy, then it would be hypocritical of us to say that there's something wrong with a patriarchy. Is that what you're saying, Wesley?
Yes.
Okay.
If one is wrong, then the other one is equally as wrong.
Okay. Ari was going to say something.
Equal and the same, equal but different.
Yeah. So
there was no discrimination.
Don't actually say that the matriarchy is a good thing. I don't believe in a fully formed governing structure as other people do. I don't think that we need a government structure that is ran by a singular gender or a singular race in any way, shape, or form. I just use it to combat the ideology of a patriarchal good thing being a good thing, right? Like a patriarchal society being a good thing.
Right.
And that seems to be what you hinge upon, because the very bare notion, the very bare notion of men's now being beneath or lower than on a hierarchical structure under a matriarchy literally raised your blood pressure.
No, not really. It wasn't that. But thank you for the concern. I am a childhood sexual assault survivor of the social construct of the Me Too movement that I had to do the work on myself because nobody would listen to me. So, because that's not only supposed to happen to women and not able to happen to men. So
no one here says that. No one here believes that men can't be victims or survivors.
That's not what I said.
Sorry,
that's
men
not what,
can be survivors.
And I didn't say you did. I didn't. When I said that, I wasn't pointing my finger at you specifically. So when I said that, it was ambiguous, not you literal.
Sure. And that's why, honestly, Wesley, that's why feminism is so important to me, because the feminism that I subscribe to, that I've participated in, it advocates just as strongly against women taking advantage. You know, sometimes I see those stories that it's like, oh, this teacher had sex with one of her students, and I see that as a bad thing. When other people are like, yeah, oh, he got it, and it's like, no, that's not a good thing.
I lived it. So and I was only 2, so because my parents were just being homophobic, which is kind of, because that was the ideology in the 80s. You know, when teachers like Jeffrey Epstein were teachers, leading to the 90s with the Epstein Island, you know, that kind of stuff.
Here, and this year 41, so I'm just trying to remember, like, put time into an idea here. So here's where the patriarchy has harmed you in your life, right? Just specifically in the instance that you're talking on.
Can I say something right quick, please? I'm asking.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So when you say patriarchy, it instantly, automatically goes right to my father, who tried his best to save me and did. And when you say matriarchy, it goes right to my mother, who tried to save me and did. So that's the escalation, because you can't have one without the other, because that is the root of society, is literally the mother and the father. So to take the patriarchy is to take the matriarchy. To take the matriarchy is to take the patriarchy.
It's not, though. I can understand how you're conflating it that way, but it's not. If you would have let me explain something to you. So the idea of the patriarchy is just so rooted within our society that there's a lot more that goes into it than just what you're saying. It's not just the father. It's not just the mother, right? It's the way that men treat each other. It's the way that women treat each other. And it's that the way that grows inside of people is because of how they are raised within this patriarchal system, where men have to be the protectors. Men aren't allowed to express emotion. And then back in the early 90s sorry guys, trigger warning if anyone needs it, rape was defined as a penis entering a vagina. That was the only way that rape was defined. Right. So that was the patriarchy. Because men, I know, that's what I'm telling you. This is why I'm saying that it is literally the patriarchal system that harmed you being able to speak about it, with you also saying that people did not believe your trauma, right? Because during that time, the men who created the laws didn't even believe the men who created the laws didn't even believe that other men could be victims of sexual assault or rape because the men were the one who created those laws.
Just like the Menendez brothers, yes.
I don't know what that's a reference to. I might be out of the loop on that one. But Wesley, what I'm hearing is that
it was a couple years ago. They were trying to get those boys that were boys out of prison for being during that time raped by their father, because that couldn't happen. So, like, yes, and the oldest aunt called it out, and everybody just ignored her, except me. I listened, because that's so.
I want to jump in on
Christian man.
Yeah, go ahead and finish your sentence, and I want to jump in. Go ahead.
As a Christian man who identifies as a Christian sheep, why did we, in a figurative sense, retell my childhood sexual trauma in the made-for-children movie Zootopia? Why did we recreate the grooming of girls in the made-for-teenagers movie Twilight about the Church of Latter-day Saints who rapes and molests their girls, grooming them like Bella was done to her by her grandmother, like Bella did to her own daughter?
The patriarchy. That's weird, but that's
not just the patriarchy.
It is.
That's not how grooming works, is my point.
No,
I'm just saying that's not how grooming works.
It is. It
that's
allows the grooming for it to occur. We live in do we live in a patriarchal society? Yes or no?
We live in a pedophile society. That's how I define it. We do not live in a patriarchal society, because patriarch means support, because the root word is father, which the root word is patron. I agree with
Lucian in the chat.
So they do not.
I know.
They don't. What did they say in the chat?
Wesley, so we're having a discussion. We're having a discussion in our production about how we're going to end the show soon. That's fine. It's nothing to do with you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
So what I'm hearing, Wesley, is that it's really hard for you to engage with this topic because of your personal experience, which I completely understand. What I'm also hearing is you're hung up
everywhere, so I can't kind of not.
Sure. What I'm hearing too is that you're hung up on the idea of patriarchy because of its technical definition, when what I'm more focused on is the effects of patriarchy and the what is actually happening.
Right.
And so what seems to be, Wesley,
to the patriarchy.
Yeah, so it seems to be, Wesley, that when we have a system where men are making the majority of the decisions and men have a lot of unchecked power, they do fucked up things to children. I see personally, Wesley, the patriarchy as it is, not as the word should mean something, it should mean something noble and honorable, right? I see what it actually does. And what it actually does is it hurts women and children. So what I want you to take away from this conversation, Wesley, because we do need to
one more thing.
One last question, and then I'm about to wrap up, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, go for it.
So what causes that altered definition, that altered persona, that altered mentality, that altered thing that men are, that even history says they weren't as bad as they are now? So that would be we've proven, like in the 60s to 90s, there was a massive lead problem in everything, paints, gas, that it was catastrophic to, in particular, men, because men have some differences, mentally even. And the added of the recent discovery of nanoplastics altering normal brain chemistry. So, how do we know any of that is the patriarchy and not literally caused by what we're doing to the human body and mind?
That's very interesting. And I'm going to send you down another rabbit hole, because you should look into what COVID does to the brain. It's fucked up, and you'll immediately start wearing a mask if you learn about it.
I wore a mask during COVID, so
but the thing is that it's still happening, and it's worse than lead poisoning. So you go down a rabbit hole, see what it's like in 2026, because it's still pretty bad in 2026.
Too many already.
But I understand. I can understand where you're coming from on a lot of this. I can hear where your anxieties are coming from on a lot of this. I don't know that I have perfect answers to all of these different things because, like I said, I see patriarchy and pedophilia going hand in hand with one another, and I also think that the subjugation, Wesley, hold on, wait, the subjugation of people based on gender or based on everything else predates these chemicals that you're talking about. I'm just read a book about slavery and how fucked up it was and how the women, even the white women, were treated during then. And so we didn't need chemicals in our bodies in order to do bad things with power dynamics and abusing hierarchies and like misusing our strength.
I'm just saying it ramped it up.
Yeah.
All I meant was it ramped it up by a lot.
Yeah. So
and that's been proven.
I don't want to just pin it on that when there could be an underlying thing. What I'm hearing most profoundly from you, Wesley, is that
there's one other thing that's also profound.
I'm trying to wrap this up really quick, Wesley, because I want to give you my parting words. My parting words for you, Wesley, is like, because of what I'm hearing from you mostly under everything else that we've talked about is that you're really struggling with living with this trauma that you have, and like the political is personal for you, and it's hard to be exposed to all this political when you have such a deep personal wound. And I would really recommend, if you haven't checked out, you should check out the Secular Therapy Project, seculartherapy.org. I know you're a Christian, and it's not going to hook you up with an atheist, but it'll just hook you up with like a therapist who, is not like specifically a Christian counselor, basically.
I got you. I went down the therapy route, and it made things worse.
You got to get the right therapist, and you have to have the right type of therapy, and it can take a little bit of shopping around, but I think it's totally worth it to try to find the right person, even if it takes a couple of different people. Yeah,
when there's triggers everywhere on purpose.
That's what therapy's for. You know, you get those exposures, and then you're not. Well, but what I'm saying is
therapy isn't meant to solve problems.
Honey.
Purposely and intentionally being created to trigger people. Like, that's not what therapy is for. It's not designed or intended or meant to do that.
Reel it in. I think you misunderstood what I was saying. I think you misunderstood me.
I didn't.
Maybe I misspoke. Then. Because I didn't convey what I meant to convey.
I was just reflecting back what I heard. So I wasn't.
Yeah, so maybe I said words that I didn't mean to say. I did not convey my meaning very well. So what I'm trying to say is that I think it's important to dig in and find the thing that can help you not be triggered by being exposed to the trigger all the time. When I was saying that's what therapy's for, what I meant was therapy is meant to help you be able to navigate life without having a huge setback because you experience your trigger. I've done a lot of therapy. I know it's hard. But I think it's worth it. And I think with what you're struggling with in particular, Wesley, that it should be a big priority for you to find a good therapist.
And can I say something to you back on the lines of therapy?
I'll give you a closing. I just don't know that I just, you're calling these shows and we're trying to have a political conversation, but I feel like it's hard to have a political conversation when your trauma is so present. So I'm trying to give you the tools that you need to be able to have effective conversations.
I was going to talk to you about yours, but it's because if you want to talk, because I brought mine up for a reason, because it's all correlates and all, because when you literally said patriarchy, when you think patriarchy, you think what happened to me. So it's all correlated, and that's my point and validates everything I've said. So thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck out there, Wesley. Wow. Okay. We're all right. That got real stressful all of a sudden, really fast. Sorry, everybody. I know that some of y'all were uncomfortable with that conversation. We did our best to navigate it safely. There were some rocks in that water. There were some icebergs, and we did our best.
The Titanic survived this round.
Yeah. We did okay this time.
We did not hit the iceberg and sink.
I need to remember that dude's name, though, so that I can be ready for that next time. Because the thing is that I forget these people after the calls. Like, we end the show, and I'm like, I flush mentally. Everything goes away. I don't remember anything.
What gets me, and like this is just gonna be me like pulling out a thing, is that the number of people that got mad at me the last time that I did a show with Forrest, because someone was like, well, what happened to me when I was young is I started to just go straight into their story and I cut them off, I'm like, hey, dude, you got to come with a trigger warning. And the number of people that got mad at me for doing it, it's like that I think people forget. And like, I know that's probably not normal for the line for people, but that can, hearing someone's personal trauma can trigger other people in the audience, can trigger the hosts because they might have something.
You're like making an assumption that I'm not going to be less effective because of something that somebody says. Yeah.
Like you have there, and also like, no offense to anybody, but the debate space isn't necessarily the place for just coming out of the woodworks with what occurred to you, even unfortunate as it is.
Yeah, he's got some stuff to work through, and like that, I do understand that too. Like I have a new friend that I met through college who's a veteran with like severe trauma who was like, yeah, I'm gonna see a new therapist, and I'm like, be aware that things could get worse for a little while. That's the thing I was really trying to just get the fuck out of the call, so I didn't ask. Like if you only saw a therapist for a couple of months, of course. You start scraping away the surface and you start getting to the spicy stuff, and it feels bad, right? Like a good therapist will equip you with good coping skills before you get into it too far. But then also, sometimes the therapist just, you don't vibe with them, or they're not specialized in the thing that you need. Like I said, my friend, he went to that therapist and she was like, oh, what you have is more severe than what I can deal with. So I'm going to refer you to someone who can handle this responsibly. And that's what you need. You need somebody who can handle it responsibly, which means you need to be really open about what has happened to you so that you don't get connected with the wrong therapist. But yeah, Jesus, much love to Wesley, and I hope he figures some of his shit out. You can't even come close to approaching the deconstruction of those beliefs when there's so much trauma tied up into it. Anyway,
that was
yeah.
Good luck, man.
Yeah.
Sincerely, and I hope nothing that we said haunts you in a way. I think that's the best way to put it
too. Like I don't want to make it worse for somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk to our last caller probably for tonight. Because we only have about 20 minutes left and then we're going to wrap. We do not have the podcast tonight. That'll be tomorrow. So make sure you go over to The Line Has a Podcast and click the notification bell. And if you want to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/calltheline, $10 or more gets you access to like a special thing that helps us curate what we discuss on the podcast. So feel free to go check that out. And yeah, we are going to talk to Joseph, he, him pronouns, who's a Republican from Texas and wants to talk about solar energy. Joseph, you are live on Calling It Now with Ari and Luxander. What's up? Joseph, are you with us?
Hey, how's it going?
So there you go.
I'll make this quick because I'll make this quick because I know Ari wants to go try out that restaurant and you need a meal prep. Where do you think we'd get this land? Where do you think we would get this land if we invited people with open borders to come and live here? You do realize that 60% of the land currently is private citizens and families, corporations, and foreign investors. And then you have like 28% that is owned by federal public land, and then 12%, which is state and local and tribal land. So where do you think we should get this land? I mean, are we stealing it again like they did my native people?
For solar specifically? Is that the question? Where are we going to put solar farms?
Solar.
Okay.
What is it? Solar and wind farms. I mean, wind farms, we can go ahead and stick them out in the middle of the ocean. Not a problem.
Well, yeah, so there's a lot of really interesting stuff here. And so number one, actually wind farms being placed on currently just flat farmland, like, right next to where they grow corn is apparently amazing. It's like, apparently it's great. And like the cows like to hang out next to the windmills and it's good stuff. So yeah, we have more than enough space to put windmills because we can literally put them wherever we already grow food. Solar farms also. So about like 40% of the corn that we grow in this country goes into ethanol that we burn for fuel. We put it in our cars and we burn it. So even if we just replaced the land that we grow corn on to burn ethanol from, we just replaced that with solar, we would probably already be like at least balanced out on our energy, if not coming out ahead. And also, like, I just did a giant road trip across this country, Joseph. There's a lot of fucking empty land that you can't build shit on because it's like sideways or like at a weird angle. I actually saw a solar farm built on like a really weird jaggedy hill. So yeah, we can work with our topography and build solar pretty easily, actually.
Right, and here's the thing, even with nowadays the solar towers that are going up, my former father-in-law, he owns 128 acres of barley up in Montana. He turned around and he rented out an acre for this solar tower. I want to say it was $3,000 a month that he was getting from the solar company. To put one solar windmill up, you have to have, they need at least a half an acre to do that. So if they put 20, there you're already destroying 10 acres of land. So I mean, all
but
that,
you don't.
And then
did you say for a windmill?
Allow people to come in. Well, we need more
land. Did you
land
say
to
solar
grow,
or wind?
to build homes and stuff. For one windmill, it takes about, for a wind turbine, it takes about a half an acre.
Yeah, but the thing is, Joseph, that I just said, we can just
that they would need.
We can just put them on land where we already grow food or where we already house cows. Like you can have a wind farm, and then like in between, like on the ground underneath the windmills, you can have patches of food growing, or you could have cows living in that field. So we don't have to have empty land. We can put windmills where we already have land for farming. We don't have to choose. We can just put them in the same place. Or here's another idea, Joseph. Maybe you'll be more keen on this idea. What if we made it legally required that every big box store like Walmart and Target must cover their entire rooftop surface with solar panels? And like, what if we said like there's no such... Yeah, like force them to do it. Be like, yeah, you're required to not only cover your own electrical costs with solar, but you need to feed into the neighborhood by having a giant thing of you're not using that rooftop surface. It's literally just wasteful space. It's even more wasteful, arguably, than the parking lot, which we could also require them to put in shaded parking lots with solar panels on top. There are solutions to this problem that don't involve using more land.
You're right, but again, you're forcing people to do something that they may not want to do.
I'm forcing a business. I'm forcing a faceless
SOBs,
business with millions of dollars in revenue every year to contribute to their communities.
Okay. But they do. Walmart contributes a lot. Target contributes a lot. They totally support people around.
They make so much money. It's a one-time cost to install these solar panels, and then they never have to pay another electrical bill. It's literally better for the company and the community. We can just say, hey, if you want to have a Walmart in this town, guess what? You have to have solar panels on top of it. Like, I understand, Joseph, your original complaint as a Native American person being like, we shouldn't take more of this beautiful land and convert it to industrial uses. I'm very sympathetic to that. So I'm offering you another solution. And I want you to just be aware of the naysaying that you immediately launched into, where you're like, well, that wouldn't work because of this other reason. And it's like, yeah, of course, the corporation's not going to want to spend the money. The corporation would love to go build a data center in your backyard. You know what I mean? They don't give a shit about you. So we need to force them to contribute to their communities. So there we go. We can just now have a huge contribution to our electrical grid through solar panels on top of every Walmart in the country. Boom. Huge portion of our energy problem solved.
And you'd be absolutely right. I mean, even with the ones closing down, I mean, you would technically be right, and I will concede that. But again, I don't think our government should force anyone to do something that they may or may not want to do. It should be like a tax break or an incentive to do so, but not force anyone to do anything. But that's my argument. I know you guys are hungry. Yeah. You need to go and food prep and shoot.
Yeah, so, I appreciate the opportunity to get on my soapbox about
just
solar.
Want to get my two spoons.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Joseph. Have a good night, man.
Have a great day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay, well, that's the end of the show, basically. Oh, did anybody super chat a large amount of money that I should care about?
There was that $20
from Set Cucks, $50 from David Haxor. Thank you. Multiple donations from David Haxor tonight.
David was having fun.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, David.
Yeah.
Very happy to see you, Luxander, all caps.
Yeah. Exactly. Woo!
Woohoo!
Also, shout out to Hyena Dyke, who has an amazing username. I love that. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I see them now. That's great. I love that.
That's fun stuff.
Oh man. And this call, yeah. So I will say this though, when somebody does like a random trauma dump like that, you have to just be very careful on how you close down the conversation.
Sure.
And that's why Lux did fantastic with doing it the way that they did, because
you can't just hang up on the dude in the middle of his moment. Like that's not good. That's not responsible.
Gonna make it worse. Yeah. It's going to make it worse for them. So Lux handled it in the best way correctly. So
I did my best.
But I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here and staying through all of that. MAGA still sucks. Conservatives still have no solutions. There's still not been a singular Republican that's been able to answer Jimmy's AI question. So we know how that goes.
And fuck ICE.
Yeah, fuck ICE. Like, what the fuck are you? Like, it melts anyway. So bye, guys.